Just like, for instance, that Africans came to the Americas before Columbus. That is absolutely ridiculous.
How
For
was that
one,
ridiculous?
I bring this shit all the way down the line. If y'all don't cut me off, I can say
What?
the reason
He
I'm
didn't
saying
use
what I'm
no
saying.
sources. Go ahead.
There's been books written on his research. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna let
Omens
y'all
are
handle
not
this.
African people. Ivan been starting to freestyle all of this shit. I'm not saying
Oh
that
my
he wasn't
goodness.
good at writing. He was an awesome writer. His book, whether true or false, I love reading his books. He's a novelist. That's his job. No, because I can finish up on what y'all asked me to do.
He's a
I went and did it.
Ivan
I
Van
didn't argue
Sertimer
with y'all.
is a
I said no
novelist.
problem. I went and found and I found the page number. I took screenshots of it and showed you. Now, if you don't think those screenshots are from the book, y'all can go get the PDF of the book yourself and go
Where's
get
this?
the page
Hold on, you got this
yourself.
in the back chat? You got the
I ain't
screenshot in the
Yeah,
back
yeah,
chat?
I posted the
I'm
back, nigga.
trying to find a
Okay,
same
now that
day
I
Okay.
did the thing for Nat
a
Turner, let
same
me
day
move on to
the
Ivan Van
same week.
Sertimer. I
Yeah.
said Ivan Van
I don't
Sertimer
want to do it.
did not have a degree. I'm not talking about you, man. This is this as a whole of this group that was arguing with me. I'm not putting
205.
things because I don't know none of y'all in here. I'm just saying what was being yelled at me. So whoever said it, they said it, right?
Okay.
Let
Where
it
does it
fall
say?
where it is. If you didn't say it,
Hold
I'm
on.
not talking to you, right?
I can't see.
I was
I can't
told.
see. I can't read your screenshot where Nat Turner is gay. I can't read it. Somebody
Okay. I'll read
enlarge
it
it
for
for
you.
me.
I'll read it. No problem,
Okay.
sir. I'll read it for
I
you.
can't read it. I'm trying to read that.
Okay, I'll read it for you. No problem. I'll read it for you. I'll go back to it here. I'll read it for you. No problem. All
I
right.
saw the moccasin fang dangling at his neck, bone white, startling against his shiny, bare black chest. My eyes are getting bad, or this thing ain't enlarged. Large, it's
Yeah,
blurry to me.
probably that. I'll go back to the original page. Yeah, because I'm looking at it too. Like, it's kind of weird. All right, hold on. All right. What the fuck? It should be. Oh, let's go backwards here. Okay, Fashion Nats for the 204. Okay. I'll start from page 203. Said that spring, I remember we went fishing together on Saturdays and Sundays. A muddy creek wound through the swamp beyond the mill pond. A walnut brown water was thick with brim and catfish. And we sat long morning hours in the swarm of gnats and slippery clay banks, angling with pine poles we made in the shop. Our hooks fashioned from bent nails upon which we skewered crickets and earthworms. Far off the mill groaned and muffled watery rushing and mumbling. The light here was the phonics, I don't know that word. An air warm and drowsy, a stir with daring buggy shapes and a chattering of birds. One day, his finger pricked by the hook or the sharp spine of a fish. Willis cried out, "Fucking Jesus," he yelled, and so swiftly that I hardly knew what I was doing. I rapped him sharply across the lips, drawing a tiny runnel of blood. A filthy mouth is an abomination to the Lord, I said. His face wore a broken, hurt look and reached up to lightly finger the place where I had struck him. His round eyes were soft and childlike, trustling, and suddenly I felt a pang of guilt and pain at my anger, and a rush of pity swept through me, mingling with a hungry tenderness, and stirred me in a way I have never
God
known.
damn, who
Willis
wrote this
said nothing.
goddamn? Wait a minute,
That
who
shit
wrote
made
this
up like a
Harlequin
motherfucker.
I'm
romance?
leading
Because
up to
that
it, brother. Don't stop
motherfucker
me.
right
Made
there.
up like a
That shit made
motherfucker,
up like a
man.
motherfucker. Just go
He
that shit
start
away, bro.
fingering things
Will,
that
Get
I
in,
instructed
yo.
We
him.
don't
Oh
talk. We
Willis,
don't
my!
talk
see
like that.
now, Now that you
We
asked
don't do
for it,
shit
I'm
like that.
bringing it out. Now you're trying to stop it
Nah.
from being fed.
No.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead
ahead. You
and
can finish it,
finish.
whatever. But
Finish it. I
Okay,
just
then.
find it
Let me finish.
hilarious.
Let me finish.
I'm thrusting
Willis
finger in the
said
man.
nothing. His eyes were brimming
Oh
with
yeah.
tears. I saw the moccasin fangs dangling from his neck,
Incredible.
bone white and snarling against his shiny, bare black chest. I reached up to wipe away the blood from his lips, pulling him near with the feel of his shoulders slippery beneath my hands. Then we somehow
So this is
felt on each
homoeroticism.
other, very close, soft and comfortable.
So basically,
European
hold on before
romanticism
you
right there,
finish,
King.
brother.
In
Hey,
a
hey,
small
Paul,
European
listen,
No, let
King.
him
romanticism.
finish,
Basically,
man.
Go ahead.
Let him
go
finish.
ahead.
Let him finish, bro. Come on.
in a sprawl
Go
like
ahead.
baby. Beneath my exploring fingers, his hot skin throbbed and pulsed like the throat of a pigeon. And I heard him sigh in a faraway voice. And then, for a long moment, as we set free unto another land, we did with our hands together what before I had done alone. So they jerked each other off. Never had I known
I'm
that human
listening.
flesh could be so sweet. Minutes afterwards, I heard Willis murmur, "Man, I sure like that. Want to do it again?" For a time, I couldn't bring myself to look at him, averting my eyes, keeping my gaze up towards the sun. Through leaves, a tremble
What is
like
it?
a forest of
Ronnie.
green fluttering moths. Finally, I said, "The soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul." Time passed, and Willie said nothing. Then I heard him fidget on the ground next to me and said, chuckling, "You know what Jism put me in mind of, Nat? He looked he looked just like buttermilk. Look there. My skin was
Man.
tingling with pleasure, and I tired, gentle, luxurious feeling, which at the same time I felt to be a danger and a warning. I recall a catbird high in the water, oak above, swinging like a rag amid the branches, jabbering and screeching, gnats whirling madly in the air around my ears. Beneath my skulls and clay banks was a cold as a sliver of ice. They kissed, they kissed one another and wept over another. I thought until David exceeded, and he rose and departed, and Jonathan went unto the city. So he's referring what they was doing as to the love that Jonathan had for David and David had for Jonathan. Because you know a lot of people um will deny or believe or disbelieve that David and Jonathan were maybe a bisexual couple.
Okay,
As we
who is the
find there's
author
other things in the
of this
Bible
book?
where eunuchs, eunuchs are castrated men, basically trannies. You know what I'm saying? They're all through the Bible, and God says there's actually a special place for all these people. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I don't really think I have to read any more of this. Like I said, you can go
Right.
to the Confession of Nat Turner, page 204, 205. So, like I said, this is a fictional book. Now, when this book was put out, people like John Henry Clark, Dr. John Henry Clark, protested the book and said it was all a lie. And how dare he put in there Nat Turner being gay, right? Nat Turner had a family, but they could never find any evidence of Nat Turner ever being married or ever having a child or any children. Now, what the Afrocentrists did, since they couldn't find any source that Nat had any relations with a woman, was to make a woman. This is all documented. If y'all want me to find this, I can find that too. They made up a woman. I forgot the woman's name, but they made up a woman, and it was found out to be false. They made it up just to say, just to disprove this thing that was in a book, that was in a fictional book. That's how butthurt these Afrocentrics were about it. That they made up a person. Just like what a nigga do, just like you see me back chats, just like when I'm dealing with the Hebrew Israelite, they'll sit there and lie in your goddamn face and call themselves a priest of the Most High and God with them, but they'll sit there and bear false witness. And one of the main things God said, he'll kill your ass for being a false witness. And here we are, these Afrocentrics made up a person just to try to maybe slip through the cracks. Just like, and we'll find out that most of our Afrocentric so-called teachers were all liars. Dr. Ben is one of them. Dr. Ben never had a doctorate in none of them shits he was saying. He went to school and had an engineering degree in Puerto Rico. That was about it. You can't find any records of him attending any of these colleges or anything like that.
Who are you talking about? Dr. Ben?
Dr. Ben.
Well, you know, these
Even
people
had
got
his
called,
obituary.
So
these
now
people,
Dr. Ben is
hold on,
false too?
hold on. These people were called doctors by other people because they were professors.
They weren't professors.
Yes, they were. Ivan Van Sertima absolutely was a professor. Go look that up.
Dr. Ben,
No.
So what I
Dr. Ben
found
and
is,
Isaac Van Sertima teach that colleges,
I'm
and
gonna deal with. I gotta deal with the Nat. I gotta deal with Nat Turner. I gotta deal with Nat Turner because what you did was you presented a fictional writing and presumed that
Did I not
you
say that?
hold on. I'm reading you what I bro. I heard you. Now you hear me.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Now hear
I just want to
me.
make that
We
clear.
heard you. You don't have to repeat yourself.
Okay.
Everybody knows your position. I'm telling you what I just found. That book that you are referencing is a fictional writing about Nat Turner. There is no historical brother. There is no historical backing for that fictional writing. However, Nat Turner was a real person. You look it up and read it your motherfucking self, you fucking liar.
No,
you know damn well Nat Turner was a real person, and some white man decided to write a book about a black man and make him homosexual, and your dumbass is trying to push that on us.
Are you serious? Is anybody gonna sit here and let this nigga get away with this shit?
Yeah, nigga, I'm gonna read it to you again. I'm gonna read it to you, right? Hold on. Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna read it so you can hear it. Since you don't believe, no, shut the fuck up. Historical evidence.
Yeah,
Historical evidence indicates that Nat Turner was not gay. He was married to an enslaved woman named Cherry and had children. The idea of him being homosexual, the idea of him being homosexual stems from William Styron's controversial 1967 written later, 1967, fictionalized novel, The Confessions of Nat. Bro, listen. Bro, we heard you.
And then you're going to say that I didn't say it.
I'm trying to explain to you what you're pushing. I'm telling you what you're pushing and how it's wrong, you fucking moron.
Okay, well, tell me.
Now, fucking listen, moron. I'm telling you, if you shut the fuck up and stop saying that I'm telling you,
being clear. I'm being clear on what I'm saying.
Dumbass. The guy who wrote a book in 1967 fictionalized the writings and history of Nat Turner. He fictionalized the history of Nat Turner, brother. And you're pushing that novel. You're pushing that novel to say Nat Turner was not a real person, when in fact he was a real person. But the story, the memoirs, is not accurate. The memoirs aren't accurate, dude. You lose.
Use that book.
You lose, bro. Yagad, you lose, nigga. You lost, nigga. No, you're not gonna. See, last night I had to deal with an my little ignorant ass brother. Last night I had to deal with another ignorant motherfucker, and here I am again. I'm not a debater, but goddamn it, I can guarantee I will tear your ass up, nigga. Your dumb ass is not comprehending what the fuck you reading. Just like my brother from last night. I'm sick of hearing you dumbass niggas with a fucking internet access talk
sources
shit
from Nat
and
Turner?
spread fucking lies
Where
and
do you get the sources from
misinformation.
Nat Turner,
I'm
sir?
sick of you niggas, man. You getting on my fucking nerves with y'all's bullshit.
You're a bitch.
Dumbass nigga.
You're a bitch.
Yeah, they're trying to
You're
tell
a
all of
You're a
our
fucking
all of our
child.
dumbass
heroes
nigga.
gay.
You're a
Martin Luther
child
King,
that
Tupac,
can't
And
you
hold
you
all
a
a
out of line,
dumbass
conversation.
Malcolm
nigga.
X. That's
You're a
what's
Whatever,
going on.
child that can't
dumbass.
hold a
Now
conversation.
conversations turned into ad hom
Dumb.
attacks.
Cause I get
Brother,
tired of
you
these
was
dumbass
wrong,
niggas
man.
with
Listen,
internet
regardless of
connection.
you saying it was a fictional book, that bullshit that you read to us
Was a
was
fiction.
complete bullshit.
It is
I
It
felt
was
bullshit.
a
the moon
fiction.
come off his chest, and while blood
Hold
was dripping
on,
down his
Alfie,
mouth,
Alfie,
I got an
Alfie,
erection. Like, get the
Alfie.
fuck
The
out of here.
dumbass. The thing
He
is,
kicked
the
them
book
whiteys'
was
ass.
a
That's what he
fictional
did. And
writing,
them motherfuckers
and
mad about it.
admitted fictional.
He
So
slaughtered the
check
shit out
this
the
out.
motherfucker.
If
I
it's
came in
fictional,
here.
Alfie,
So
if it's
angry about this
fictional, right,
today.
then Matt Turner never had sex
That
with a
trying to
man
kick
because
their ass.
it
They
was
wasn't
a
mad at him.
fictional
Yo,
book.
y'all want to say that because
Dumbass,
all y'all both heard. They let this dumb
dumbass.
nigga run his mouth.
It's a fictional writing.
When I said
No,
exactly what he
You
said.
just said
We
it's
not
Turner
gonna
was a
we
fictional.
not
rider.
gonna do that. We not gonna do
He
that. Which
kicked the
we not
motherfucker
gonna
whitey's
do that.
ass.
Witch finder, because my thing is this, brother.
You're a
We let
dumbass,
you
man.
get it out and read it. Everybody went on mute, and now it's people's turn and time to respond to the things that you
Facts.
have been saying and
Right.
different things like that. That's all. But regardless of the
But
fact, I
now,
don't care
keep it
why
100,
you even
bro.
brought this up.
Okay,
You
bro.
know that Nat Turner had a wife and kids.
Who was their name? See, none of
I
y'all
just
listened
read
to
it.
what I
I just
said.
read it.
None of
But
Hold on.
y'all
y'all
I'm gonna
listened to
act,
what
read it
I
you
said.
again.
act
All right,
like
I'm going
that
back
was
on
And
mute,
a.
now
y'all.
you
Continue to
want to
rip this
tell me
nigga
that Nat
apart.
Turner had a
Because you
wife and
still got to
kids.
address that Dr. Isaac Van
Bro,
Serterman and the shit you just said
y'all
about
can
Dr.
His
Yeah,
listen
he
name
to
Bing.
was
was.
me.
a
You got to
That's
professor
address
at
that
Rutgers
too.
exactly why I don't be up
University.
in
His
here.
wife's name
That's
was
exactly
Cherry.
why I don't
His
be up in
wife's
here, Ivory.
name.
This
His
is
wife's
exactly
name
why.
was Cherry.
Exactly why. When
His
I came
wife's
out the
name
book,
was Cherry.
I said that it's a fictional book
His
that
wife's
Afrocentric
name is
takes
Cherry.
information to talk about Nat Turner, but they fail to say that there's a gay scene in the fictional book where they get their
I'm
sources
addressing
from
that
Nat Turner.
dumbass nigga. I'm
And my
addressing it.
problem
You
is,
don't like the way
why
I
you didn't
address it.
mention that
What I
Fictional
shit
said
book,
was
so
from a
a
why do
fictional
they
fictional.
even have to
goddamn book
talk
if
about
they get
anything
everything
in
else from
it?
a fictional goddamn book?
I'm trying to explain it, you dumb motherfucker. You won't fucking listen. You too busy
Nigga, you
trying to
know,
repeat
where are
yourself.
you from,
You
bro?
stupid
Where are you
motherfucker.
from? Because you obviously
You
uneducated
no, it
and
doesn't
nobody
matter where I'm from, you
actually
dumb
taught you how
motherfucker.
to
I'm trying to explain
conversation.
something. Your dumbass
Nigga,
know
you
what
was
I'm getting
born
at, and
one
you don't want to
So
be
second
now, so
corrected,
now you
nigga.
trying to call
Is that my
people
boy Benji?
uneducated while talking about the people that's
I didn't say
educated and got books.
Man,
So
I
now
ain't
that's
worried
the
about
agenda
this
you
nigga
want. So
Before
now
I
calling me
find out
everybody that
straight
nothing.
up right
disagrees
now,
with you or have a
before I
disagreement is
continue with
uneducated.
the
Because I
conversation
tell
with
You
you
one of
what,
them
I'm gonna
motherfuckers,
go on
niggas.
mute.
I know.
I'll
Is
tell you
that
what I'm gonna do,
Bantu?
Affy. This is what I'm gonna do.
Or
I'm
Jesus
gonna go
Black?
on mute.
Okay.
And the minute this nigga leave, I'm gonna say what I got to say because he ain't gonna let me get it
you
out. Cause this motherfucker know what the fuck I'm
Well,
gonna
he
say.
think
nigga,
you
you
And
a
he know he a
butthurt
uneducated. So
fucking
nigga.
once you
You
asshole.
a
disagree with
butthurt
him, you
nigga.
uneducated.
You a
So
butthurt nigga. You did all that rah. And I showed you what you asked for. That's the problem. That's the main problem.
And I
You thought I
showed
was
you
one of them
how
niggas that
what
run
you
their mouth.
showed is
I'm gonna tell you
bullshit.
shit. Ain't a nigga that
And
just
you
run his mouth.
mad. And you mad because I showed you how what your source is
You
bullshit.
told me what I said in the beginning.
Your source is
That's all you
bullshit.
did.
It's not
But you said
reliable.
that I didn't see it.
It's not reliable, bro. Your source isn't reliable.
I told you
It's
that,
an
you
admitted
motherfucker.
fiction.
I said that from the
It's an
beginning.
admitted
I said it's a
fiction on
fictional
his
book.
life. It's
I
an
said it's a fictional
embellishment
book
on his
about a
life, is what that
fucking
book
time
is.
before he
The
even went
book
and got the
is an
fucking information.
embellishment. The
I said
book
it
is
was
an
a fictional
embellishment.
book 5 times.
Right.
Now you
And what
think
is
I'm gonna sit there and
fiction?
argue with this dumbass
What is
motherfucker?
fiction? No, what I'm arguing is Nat Turner was a real person. That memoir is a
Okay.
fictional writing
What
about a
I
real
said the
person.
book was written. I said the man wrote the book. He got the original court records. He got the information of Nat Turner, and he wrote a fictional book on it. I
Okay,
said
so the
that
court
right from
records
the
say,
gate.
so there's
I
a
said
court
it right
record
from
that
the
says
gate.
that Nat
I
Turner
said
had
that right
sex
from
with a
the gate.
man?
Ain't nobody out here can call me a fucking liar. Now he
Dumbass,
can come in
dumbass.
and
So
ma'am,
the
am
court
I lying?
records,
Am I
the
lying?
court records
Ma'am, am I
justify
lying?
him being called a
Met this
homosexual,
lady
yes
from
or no?
Harlem. I want to
I'm
speak to
asking
this
you a
lady from
question.
Harlem because she's
I'm
the only
asking
one
your
that's been
dumbass a
speaking with me
question.
civilly.
I'm asking
She's the
your
only one
dumbass a
that's been speaking
question.
with me civilly.
Here's the
So Miss
question,
Miss
dumbass.
Lady from Harlem,
You
then I'm
say
not
the
saying
court records are key in that book. You keep mentioning that. So with the court records being key, you're saying that the court record has it recorded that Nat Turner was a homosexual?
Produce me that.
Is that what you're
Produce me that.
saying?
Who said
Is that
that?
what you're
Go
saying?
produce it.
Are
Who
you
said that he had
saying?
kids and a wife?
Are you saying the court records prove Nat Turner was a homosexual? Because you keep referring to the court records.
I said that. I can show you a video I did 3 years ago, and I never said that.
You're saying the court records say he was a homosexual.
You all caught up with your little panties in your fucking
Hold
ass.
on. The
And
court
you want to run
records,
off with some shit because you want to be right about stuff.
the
Because
court
you thought
records.
I was going to go get the information.
Did you? No, you said. So I'm at. No, you presented. I ain't got to look up shit.
You, brother, we waited. You took time to bring these sources and research up. And it's just one of the things we dealing with. We ain't even talking about the Dr. Isaac Sutherland, Dr. Ben claims you made. We just talking about Nat Turner. You took time to go research this. Now you mad at people's responses.
Right.
And Paul and Black Jesus asked you to go get it. So now you mad that he rebuttaling you.
Right.
So now he miseducated and dumb. Come on, man. Have some decorum. Don't be disingenuous, brother.
Lady from Harlem. This man from Harlem. Now, what did I say when I first started speaking on that? Please tell the people and be honest, please. Miss Lady, are you still here? I don't know your name, so I'm just trying to be polite. Call you Miss Lady.
You're talking to Miss Light. You're talking Light.
It was like
Now,
delightful.
What did I tell them
Delightful
when
tenderness.
I first came out here and started talking about Nat Turner? I'll say it again. And I can put in my video. Y'all can watch the video and hear me saying in the video I did 3 years ago.
I'm not watching that video.
Everybody
that's on this call, and probably the world, don't watch that video.
No, a lot of
Nobody
people
watched that video.
Yep.
Nobody wants to go watch a video when you can simply do the presentation
That's
again.
why you in the weird place, Smoxy.
Do the presentation again.
You stay where you at. For what? When I already did it.
I presented to you and you interrupted me. And I'm presenting a counter argument.
Things to do, brother. I got a lot better things to do in my life.
Then why the fuck are you still here?
Why
the fuck are you still here?
So why are you here telling us to go support and watch your videos then?
There's nobody
when we miseducated. If we miseducated and dumb, why we gotta watch your videos?
We're not gonna learn that.
It's above our intelligence level, man. I grew up in the projects, man. I was in IEP, dog. Like I dropped out of high school. I can't keep up with your shit.
That must be explains it. You had a daddy?
Obviously,
No, I didn't have a father, man. I didn't have a father. My mama worked 3 jobs.
Explains the way you talking to me.
My daddy would
you see how I just made all that shit up?
Goddamn stupid. My father would have told my ass up for coming home talking stupid like this nigga.
Thank you.
I'm talking about you.
What I said, y'all was talking over me, and the other dude that was still
nigga read a fictional book and got the nerve to sit on the phone and call us dumb and unintelligent because we have opposing views and we can present different facts.
Right, different facts.
He read a fictional ass book and then said Afrocentric conscious people try to use this book to make black people seem greater than what they are. That was hold on, brother. Hold on. No, hold on. I let you talk and get it off. Your whole point was it's a fictional book. An Afrocentric conscious community, no matter what they are, black people use this book to big up black people and make them seem bigger than what they are, and it's a lie. And then Paul came, and then Black Jesus came and disproved what you was trying to say and all this other things, and now you acting like this, and now we miseducated and dumb.
Okay, now how did he disprove what I said?
Because I'll say it if you just get quiet. Go on mute, please.
No,
please. Go on mute.
The man that was just talking. I want to hear him say.
I can answer for myself. I can answer for myself.
He can answer for himself. Go ahead. I'm going.
I can answer for myself. I'm here.
No, because you said what I said.
I'm here.
You said word for word what I said. So I want to hear.
But this is what I did not say. This is what I said. You didn't.
How did he disprove me?
Yagad, this is what I said that you did. I said something opposed to you. You said Nat was a fictional person.
Hold on, yes.
Nat, come on, bro. You said Nat was fictional. I said Nat
I
was a
didn't
real
say Nat
person.
Turner was fictional.
Nat Turner's a
Yes,
real
you
person, bro.
did.
I misquoted the book. I said in narratives, but it's the Confessions of Nat Turner is a fictional book. That's what I said. I said
Okay,
the writer
right.
took the. Hold on, let me finish. See, you can talk over people on here. You can't have additional conversation like people. That's why
You
nobody knows
cutting
what
me
nobody is
off.
saying.
I had the
So
floor.
okay,
You cutting me.
I
I
said
had the floor.
the
You cut me off.
Confessions. See what I'm doing now? I'm talking and you're talking over me.
No, 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 no.
I
You don't get
said,
to cut
can
me
I
off and
speak?
keep
Can I
talking.
speak?
You cut me
Can
off,
I speak?
bro.
Then
Bro,
there's
you cut
nothing
me
to be
off.
talking about
No, you
then.
cut
Because
me
this is
off.
what we deal with here.
You cut
This is
me
what we
off.
deal with.
I guess we just not
Y'all
gonna
been
have
doing
no
this since
conversation.
yesterday.
Ain't nothing
And I
effective
tell
coming
that,
out of this
that's
motherfucker.
what I don't be.
I'm just gonna be disrespectful and say whatever the fuck comes to
Yeah,
mind
I
because you
know
won't let
that.
me
I
have
know
the
that. 'Cause
fucking
that's the kind
floor.
of person
Fuck
you
it.
is.
I'll
Let's
just keep
hear
going and
Jesus
You,
Black.
everybody knows
you
I
just
can
a
do it. I
ghetto
got my
dwelling,
coffee and I got my
just
cigarettes. I can
stagnant
sit here all
motherfucker.
day and just keep repeating
Exactly. And
myself
I
and parroting
hang around
myself
people like that.
and bore the fuck
I
out of
hang around
everybody else
civilized
because you
people.
want to be disrespectful
I hang
and try
around
to cut
people
me
who
off and not let me land my
I hang around
motherfucking
civilized
plane
people.
because I
This
think you
nigga
feel like you
said,
Let's
about to
let
get
Jesus
cut
Black land his
because all you
plane.
kept saying was Nat Turner was a fictional person.
I
The book
never
proves
said that.
it because he can
I
write
never
anything he
said that.
wants
I didn't
about
say that
Nat
shit one
Turner is what you
motherfucking
said,
time.
nigga. That's what
Now,
the
what
fuck you
the fuck
said
did
in
I
the
ever
fucking when I
say that
came
Turner was
on the
fictional?
call. Nat
When
Turner was not
when
a
the
real
writer gave us
person.
some court
Nat
records.
Turner is a fictional
You
person in this book. This man can make Nat Turner whatever he
don't even
wants.
make
You
sense.
pointed out that the man made
I
him
didn't
gay,
say nothing
which is
like
a
that.
fiction.
All right,
It was
I'm
a
out, y'all. I'm
fiction.
done
It was
arguing
a
with dumb people,
fictional
yo.
writing that the
Y'all
man
enjoy
was
y'all
gay.
day.
It's not
Y'all
true that
enjoy y'all
Nat Turner
day.
was gay because the
Facts.
man made it
I
up.
ain't never
But yet
said
you're
that
trying to
shit.
prove by
I ain't
this
never said
man
none of
making
that
a
shit.
fictional,
All right,
you're
you have a nice
saying
day,
by
sir.
this man
You
making
enjoy
this
your
writing
afternoon.
this fictional book that
All right.
therefore is valid that
Yeah,
Nat
all right,
Turner
get the
was
fuck up out of
actually
here.
gay, even though he was a
Okay,
fictional
whatever.
I
person.
think,
That was your
okay,
argument, nigga.
I
That
think,
was your
I
fucking
think,
argument, bitch.
wait, I think that, he was saying that the people in, what is it? What does he call those? The Afrocentrics was saying that Nat Turner is a fictional person. That's what he was saying earlier.
All right. When I came on the call, he mentioned this fictional book. He said Nat Turner is a fictional character. He's not real.
Wow.
There's a book where is what is it? A fictional book written about Nat Turner. And that's what troubled me. It's a fictional book and Nat Turner is not real. So this man can make up whatever he wants. You
Right.
just said the nigga ain't real. No, if it's a fictional book, you cannot don't use real people to make them what the fuck you want.
Is that some or
Don't
is that
use
some
real
shit that Dan
people to
Calloway
make
been
them what
pushing over
you
there? He been
want.
trying to rationalize erasing a lot of the American black
So,
heroes, like
so,
Harriet
so,
Tubman. They said she's not real either.
right. So what's
This,
next? Martin Luther
but
Right,
no,
right.
King Jr. ain't
Facts.
real either.
Right,
Malcolm
but
X
no,
right.
but
ain't
no.
real
This is
either.
this the
We can't
thing.
Yeah.
let these niggas do that
Right.
shit,
When
man.
I when
Right,
I
We
right,
came
can't let
right.
them do it.
Facts.
when I came on the phone and I asked the brother to clarify what he was talking about, and I stayed on mute for 15 minutes just to really listen. And literally, I made him repeat himself. That man was saying that basically black, Afrocentric, conscious people, no matter what level or what you are, will take black greatness or use different things to boost up black greatness or legendary things that we've done where it's not is and it's not true because you can't find no evidence.
Okay, no,
Then
no.
he
Here's
proceeded to
hold on.
disrespect
Okay, Anthony.
Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and all this other shit. So now that's what he is saying that he thinks is what's going on.
This is what I got out of his little spiel, all
Go
right? And
ahead.
I'm this will be the last time I'm gonna say anything on it, just so people for clarity. What I heard and I didn't believe, and then he showed me, and then I'm now as I listen, oh, it's a fictional book written about a real man. You can't say this person that wrote this fictional book used court records. We're talking about it's not true, it's homosexuality. This nigga runs and says but he has court records. Okay, show me in the court record where it says Nat Turner was having sex with men. You ain't gonna find no bullshit like that in nobody's fucking court records unless they got caught in a criminal act of having sex. That's the only way you're gonna see that shit. That's number one. So you're saying Nat Turner in this fictional character who was real had court records that they use, so therefore everything written in this book must be true because it's
You could
the logic makes no fucking sense to me.
you could look up
It's
the court
disrespectful.
transcript. You could look up the court transcript, but the way the court transcript is written like a story. It's
But
weird.
but my thing is, are we going to find that he was having sex with
No,
other people?
I don't believe that, but because
That's
I've
my
never
point.
read the whole thing. I've read some of it, but it reads like a story. It's reading like you are reading a book.
Right.
The transcript, it's weird. Like
Right.
for it to be a court transcript, it's like they making up a story as they go along.
Right. It's
Uh,
very romanticized the
but
way it's put.
anyway,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
no, I'm not. I don't. Okay. I think I understand what you're saying, but I don't think. For me, you can't say it's a fictional book. Say it's a fictional character with a fictional book, and they got court records. Or then say, oh no, he's a real person, but this book that I'm referencing says he was gay. But it's a fictional book, but it says he was gay. But keep in mind that it used some of the actual court records to add, so that it could tell the story about perhaps the rebellion, what happened when he got caught, how he started, all that shit. Oh
Right.
yeah, and let's add in when we caught him fucking. Come on, man, get the fuck out of here. Bullshit. It's a fictional book made up by some white man to discredit Nat Turner. And this motherfucker wants to try to push this fictional book on me and with some, I don't know, some bullshit Jedi mind trick. Like I'm a simpleton. Nigga, get the fuck out of here. The rationale doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And now, if it makes sense to you guys, fine, so be it. I'm just saying for me, makes none at all. Sounds like bullshit.
I've never even heard that till today. Like I've never heard that before.
I hear it occasionally. They're trying to slowly erase the history to reintroduce that Jim Crow mindset. They're trying to do it. They're trying to erase a lot of it. Jane Calloway articulates some of that stuff. A lot of
I'm gonna
people
be
following that
honest.
shit.
Today, I've been in the conscious community and growing with y'all and all that type of stuff since I was 17. That is my first time actually hearing it. I've never heard it.
It's weird. I hear it. Okay, it's strange how they try to say the
Like I
Underground
never
Railroad was
heard that.
made up.
Today was the
Yeah.
first time I heard it at 32 years old.
It's interesting. It's an interesting approach. They got to push that amnesia on the people. So you're trying to
Wait a
get you to
minute.
erase your shit.
Well, but using this Nat Turner being gay as part of that
Yeah.
agenda,
Yeah.
no,
They
bro.
said Malcolm
That
X was gay and Martin Luther King.
yeah.
This is across the board. They do.
Well,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
interesting.
they make everybody gay, right?
Right.
All of a sudden now, the
Right.
greatest all
Yeah,
black men
I
are
never
gay.
heard
Look at
that
your
either.
leaders.
Right. Very
Look at
interesting.
your leaders. Right. So now all of a sudden now we look less than manly into our women into the world
Right.
because we're
Right.
all gay. Man, get the
Right.
fuck out of here with
Right.
that bullshit. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you do that
That's a
to us as
psyop.
black men.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's no telling
that.
who
Hell
dude is.
no.
You never know who dude is. You
Hell
never
no.
know who none of these people. You really don't know really who you be talking
Got
to
me
on these
fucked
calls.
up.
We don't know who none of the people really are.
I'm just tired of hearing dumbass
You
niggas
know.
think they right, and it's like you trying to
Right.
explain to them and they're not fucking listening where they fucking
Right.
wrong at.
And Sadiq, I'm gonna say this. No, we know who some are. We don't know who all these other motherfuckers is
Right.
because
Right.
Afi's real. So
Sometimes.
so so if
Right.
I die tomorrow and somebody write a book on Afi life, y'all have experienced me and seen me on calls, on videos, all type of shit.
Yeah, he was a butt naked
Oh man. Yeah. But
he's a
before he died,
butt naked boxer, boxing, fighting, family feud as African.
and as he ducked on the left hook, he was very ducked.
Nigerian.
The
I'm
left hook
fighting three
with
Africans and they get put in a
with,
poem.
with
And
warm
yeah, man,
tenderness.
water was dripping off of our skin. And somehow
Man,
the
get the fuck
stars
out of here,
came
man.
down and started
Not buying
talking
that.
to us. And Afi spoke up. Like,
So
Elderly
Afi,
dude read that shit. They
guess
read
what?
every word of that shit
How
too.
would people feel if I took a book, if I wrote a book about Malcolm X and just or Gloria Dandridge, right? I just make up some shit. I don't make her gay or nothing, but I just make up a bunch of shit and say she even flew a plane and she flew around the world, 2 trips around the world in this year and that year. How would people feel about that? all of a sudden Gloria Dandridge was a fucking pilot because I wrote it and said in my fictional book.
Yeah. No.
I
Would
made the book a fiction.
nobody sit there and reference that unless it's a
They
certain
actually,
type of
unless they believe that they're reading some real shit
unless you
about
believed
Gloria
it was
Dandridge.
true.
I made this shit
He
up.
he went he went and found like right. He went and found and I'm saying like he took time and went and found that information. That's the
Well,
point.
he
The
had to
second
because
point is
somebody said it, and I'm not
The
mad that he
second point
went.
is he can't call it fiction and then turn around and be like, oh, well, the black conscious community, they use this to big up black people and make us seem greater than what we are. And then when you check the records and things like that, it'd be no proof and all this other shit. And niggas is liars and all this other shit. So you believe that fictional shit.
Yeah, that fictional shit is more
You
accurate.
believe it because you did a video
Yeah,
on it and you telling
right.
us to look at the video. So
I'm
you
not
believe
watching
it.
that. Fuck that shit. I'm not watching that
That's why I'm
shit.
like, I'm not
Nigga.
watching it.
I'm right here. You can tell me.
I'm not
You can tell me,
patronizing. I'm
nigga.
not supporting you.
Tell me. Shit. If it's your video, your information, you should know that shit. You should know
Because
that
I
shit.
got on the call late. Y'all was on the call with him. He just randomly brought that up, didn't he?
I don't know. When I got on, it was him and I think Sunday. Sunday, was that you?
I hate you, Messiah.
Yeah, I think when I got on, I think it was Sunday and somebody, maybe Bantu, was that you on here? It was somebody else on here.
Wait, for what?
When Yaga was talking, or maybe it was Tanya. Maybe it was Sunday and
Oh no,
Tanya when he was.
I wasn't here for you, yeah.
Okay, that might have been Sunday and Tanya when he was talking about the Nat Turner and the art.
No, that's why I was trying to tell you. He was trying to say that through this book that the conscious community, the Afrocentrics, I don't know. They was Dr. John Henry Clark boycotted the book and was saying he was saying so much shit that was just
Right.
weird to me.
He said
Because
right.
it was like Ivan Van Sertima. Nobody said he had a
He's a good
doctorate. I know I
freestyler.
didn't.
What he said is he said he's a good freestyler, and we don't really have proof that he went to school and got an education or that he studied this shit and he was
No,
just a
he
good.
said that. He said that about Dr. Ben. He said
Right.
that Ivan Van Sertima didn't have a degree in anthropology, so he wasn't proficient enough to be an anthropologist.
Right.
Meanwhile, he has a master's and an undergrad degree in African studies and African linguistics. So when you put all that shit together, you
That will
can
make
look
you an
into the history.
anthropologist. Yes.
I'm sorry, but I got to do this. You know how you like watch a movie, like let's say Do the Right Thing, right? Let's go way back. Do the Right Thing. When Mookie broke out that window, right? But yeah, see, that's how you supposed to do it. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna reference something fictional and let that inspire me or break me in spirit. You know, okay, this black man was actually gay. Oh, damn, he was gay. Now I got to think about him in a different light. Or do I need to just keep him in the same light? You see what I'm saying? You that whole fucking fictional and then trying to tie it into reality and
The conscious
because
community and all this stuff and
yeah, that's what he said. They used that same book that said a fictional
to
book
big
that
up
said a
black
black man.
greatness.
No, right. He said so. So that means there was some other things in that book that was great, but he didn't want to touch on that. He
And he
wanted to talk
went
about.
right to the gay shit.
I mean,
they got to
what the
try to
fuck,
undo
bro?
us. We're the soldier class. They got to undo the males. They always targeted us for that reason.
Demasculization. But my
They
point
gotta
is,
do. They try to
my
do
Hey,
my
that.
but
my point, my point, and whether it's demasculization or redlining, my point is this: you went to a fictional book, and when he was reading that garbage, I knew it
that
was
shit,
fake.
that
That
shit
shit was
sound like a
garbage.
Harlequin
The
romance.
moon
I
was
don't.
glistening off, and then there was blood coming down his mouth. But I just kept feeding for him.
Yeah,
I was
that's
pointing for
homosexual
areas.
What
talk. That's a
what
I'm
homosexual
like,
talk.
what?
Right.
Why was the
Their
blood
literature
coming
talks like
down
that.
his mouth?
First
What
of
was
all,
he
why do
doing?
you even have this book?
Why you
If it's
got blood coming
fictional,
out your mouth? No,
if it's
no. So,
fictional about a
so hold
real
on. After,
motherfucker that walked
hold,
the earth, why do you got this book in your library?
real quick before I lose my thought. Y'all was talking about how they're out for men. The Bible says something about a city, and he says, "Kill everything that pisseth against the wall."
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
We we
You
we
know
we
what
causes the revolution. We causation.
Yeah,
Male energy is causation. It's
yeah,
initiation. Nothing
yeah.
shit don't really get done primarily by nature
If
unless the
that's
male initiate. This is why we're targeted. Have you ever wondered like why sometimes people argue the women work with them and this, that, and other? They always do this to undermine malehood and all because we cause shit. By nature, we're the causative aspect. That's something that the
mm,
male nature specializes in. You
Who
always
that
find
dude
us
just
being
beating
targeted
up
on,
Paul?
whether it be during cattle slavery or now or whatever. They're trying to reintroduce Jim Crow. They
happy
got targeted us
birthday.
to get us back in our mindset as we were back under the first Jim Crow, scared to death.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have no wins
The
under our
Willie, the
belt
Willie Lynch
from a
letter about
revolution.
how basically you're lower and something's higher than you and all of this
They
other
got to
stuff.
get you to agree to that shit. You
Happy
know,
birthday to Maya. Who
you
who
know.
who grandbaby named Tamaya? Oh, that's Tim.
Happy
If you
birthday
notice,
to
they
my
put a lot of our even
Happy birthday.
Juneteenth is now synonymous, damn near, with
Hey
LGBT.
Paul, who that dude
You
just
know,
beating up Paul?
at least they're trying to make it that way,
Oh, you got
and
that
that's by
nigga the witch
design.
hunter.
See,
Oh, my bad,
Uh,
Sadiq. That nigga you got the witch hunter.
the witch finder.
Oh,
I'm familiar with the nigga. I ain't never really had no real interaction with him before. And I think today is the first. Yesterday actually was the first time I actually had an interaction with the dude. I'm familiar with him. I've been around him in other groups. I just never spoke to him before. And yesterday, and especially today, it just pissed me off with the bullshit, yo. I mean, you referencing a fictional writing saying that this man can do whatever he wants with a real person in his book. No, the fuck you can't.
right?
No, you
And for
can't. That's
people to
bullshit.
allow it, hold on, for anyone to allow that, this is why he said Dr. Clark and them fought against it. I see why. It's a lie in there. You're creating you're smearing a man's name.
Right.
No, no, we're not gonna let you do that.
Would you say, brothers? If you come home, your dad to kick your ass. You
If I
says
came home talking stupid like that, my daddy would have whooped my ass. He would whoop
mine
my
too.
ass. I'm
Real
not
talk.
saying that my father may not have been the greatest, but he damn sure wasn't gonna let me be nobody's fucking fool.
Right.
No, real talk. My dad's 71 years old. If he would have heard the conversation with this Nat Turner shit, it would have been over with. He would have been like, "Hey, no, get off."
Yeah,
They've
Pops
been
I
probably would
pissing
have
think
pushing
told
them.
me.
my biggest pushback towards the brother is the the way that in the indoctrination of I want you to study this and this is how you study it. And if you go outside of this parameters of studying this, then you are wrong.
Right. Yeah. And I don't
And I
agree to
think
that
people
totally like that. Right.
I don't
Hell
agree with
no.
that.
Hell no. Yeah, they don't, yeah, that's
That's
what made that,
facts.
and that's what they're trying to lock them into that box. I see where he was trying to do the rationalized dude not having those doctorate degrees. So he said, well, he didn't get awarded by the white institution. Absolutely, then he's absolutely like no, like his shit is like worthless, which just doesn't make any sense.
But Sadiq, every time I challenge that thinking, you know what the first thing they go to is medical science. And I say that's a
Yeah,
false equivalent, right? Because medical science benefits them as well. But historical context doesn't always benefit them, so they are going to teach it the way they want to teach it.
right.
This is why these things like these phrases like the conqueror writes the history and the pen is mightier than the sword exists because this is what they've done throughout history.
Yeah, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the true, they're very true. Now you notice a lot of their geniuses that started Fortune 500 companies, Steve Jobs and a few others, and other in our communities too. They're almost as high school. They're most like college dropouts.
Right.
Most of them. Now the thing is, what he's confused with is being a boss and doing your own individual, unique research that may contradict conventional timelines and mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
teaching.
Yeah,
Or you can work
mainstream
with the
sciences.
mainstream. We can work within the mainstream construct. It depends if you're an employee or a boss. Notice, no, this is an interesting point a lot of people don't know. Notice that the head of most companies globally are have little to no degrees,
None.
Exactly.
but yet all of their employees are required to have one to get their jobs under the
degreeless owners. Notice that, right? You only need a
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
degree if you want a job. The
Mm-hmm.
motherfuckers that got billions of dollars don't have no degrees. Think about that. The people that
But I
own
called
GM, do you
him
think
out
that
on
they
that.
got like? And so
No,
that
and,
and that
and like and
notice that you
I'm
don't
gonna
need
say
with this.
this real
I'm
quick.
gonna go a little. I'm gonna go one more
But
thing. One more point. Notice that you only need the degrees to get a job, but all the mother visionaries, them mothers that's like regular people on the street that did their individual to certain credit. They did their own. They did their own learning outside of the conventional circuitry. That's what dude got to understand. You can't just relegate it to conventional education system. See,
now
No, but I
what
called
I'm
him out on it. He said he did his own research and he came up with these conclusions. I said, so, but you're sitting here and you're condemning
and that's
Ivan
fine.
Van
Right.
Sertima for doing the same thing.
I have a face. Right.
right,
That's what I'm
and
agreeing to.
also you
Right.
and also it's like this. So you got autodidact and autodactarian, which means you are self-taught by books and you would rather learn from books and get independent studies and different things like that so you could actually see and dive into whatever subject matter topic or whatever's the case. Now, this is
Right.
the problem that I have with the brother. If if you're meeting an autodidact or autodactarian, which is a person that's studied with just books and research and studies, are you now going to discredit Afi or Eisen Van Sertimer or whoever, and then turn around and be like, oh, well, you can have that, but then have the mainstream education too. So then now it can't be no kinks in your chain. Like, no, it don't work that way. Like Light, she brought up something to the brother and was like, I believe in self education too.
Right. That what self
And he
education
ain't
is
have
the
no
most
comeback for
that's the
that.
most important one. Then the cookie cutter education system comes much later. The originally all of this shit was like self taught, self discovery. There were and you just create your guidelines to say to gatekeep that particular field of study you in as you go along and become more sophisticated as society. Da 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 da.
But
Yeah, because you
for
always got to do
me,
your own research. Shit, huh?
I also pointed out that a lot of the things that we learn in school in the younger years aren't the truth. And then when we get older and
Right.
we start to study things for ourselves and
For
learn things
ourselves,
outside of,
facts.
that's when we found out
And
that
this
we
is
were
coming
taught
from a
nothing
person
but
with
lies.
several degrees myself and a term and a doctorate. You know what I'm saying? Just saying these things. So I can speak from that experience that what they tell you in the schools is just to work as an employee, especially as they don't even teach you how to be a boss of them schools like that. They teach you how to
It's
be
a
an
degree.
employee.
It's a
You be a,
degree
you
of
it'd be a
knowledge on a
yeah.
certain subject. They're
Let me
not
finish that
teaching you
point,
the
brother.
full
Yeah,
thing.
let me and so it teaches you to be a degree to work for them, to those who put the system
Hmm.
together and lay out the guidelines to what you to learn, or what we could call it prescribe your reality. Once they prescribe what you know, then they can know how far you can go with in terms of any potential rebellion may pop. But they know what you're capable of thinking. This what dude don't understand. And another good point is that you don't never let a person totally describe, teach you totally because they'll teach you only just so far so to control you and keep you within a certain realm of thinking. But you always got to teach yourself because you would never limit yourself on how much you want to, you know what I'm saying? You'll never limit your own thinking. That's what dude really got to understand.
Hmm.
It really got to, these degrees, they just teach you so much because they want to limit your functionality within the society. Bottom line,
But
whatever the
that's what
field
I
is.
was always taught. My mother always taught me you go to school, you get your education because the world says you have to have it, but you have to
Right.
educate yourself if
Because
you
that way you
really
won't
want
hold
to know the
nothing back. You will
truth.
teach yourself
Hmm.
everything. Not
Hmm.
just you learn what's in the school, but you can go way, and that's what they're afraid of. This is what this guy don't understand. I just want to say that. Yeah.
He started talking about the Bible, and we was like, bro,
Right.
how the fuck did we segue into the Bible? We talking
Yeah.
about other things. I mean, even when I got on the call yesterday, when he was talking about George Floyd brought his murder on himself because
Really? Oh, this dude wild.
yeah,
Okay, this dude wild as hell.
What did he
Yeah.
say? What did he say?
George Floyd brought that
Um,
stuff on himself because he
oh,
shouldn't
right.
have had a fake $20 bill. And then once we was like, okay, so that was a mistake, that was
Yeah.
a mistake on the people's part. Well, then he shouldn't have been on drugs.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, he
So
sound like he
wow.
remind me of Jashub with some of his arguments. That's why, like, are you related to
Wow.
Jashub?
It's
Because
interesting.
you
This
sound like
dude.
you.
It'd be wild as hell.
y'all be leaning towards that Eurocentric
Right,
approach
right.
to Black
God, yeah.
history and
Right.
questioning our leaders and
Interesting.
our culture and shit is like, okay, all
Wow,
right,
interesting. Yeah, that sounds like that pre-Jim Crow. Sound like Jim Crow kind of mindset. Interesting.
yeah.
Don't fight back. Those who did were troublemakers. Don't rock the boat. If you do, there will be consequences. Some,
Right.
and now regarding Nat Turner, who know, did you guys, and not just him, others who had a similar type of history where it come rebellion is concerned. Who knows if Nat even got caught? Who knows if he got caught? He
He
probably got
didn't.
away,
Well, they
right?
said no. They said they caught him and he was arrested
Right,
and tried and all that. That's what they
right.
said.
That's also a tactic. That's a
Hmm.
tactic. If you
Hmm.
okay, too many people around to hide the fact that it was a successful rebellion that killed 50 plus whiteys and shit. Probably more than that. Probably
Right.
more. But they gonna
Right.
tell you that, with 50, 50, so 40, it was really 45. No, it was probably 100, 200 of them or more. And so
Right.
he probably got away with this shit. They probably caught a few of them. But they said,
Right.
but they do something psychologically to you to tell you, oh yeah, he did whatever. He killed a couple of us, but and he was killed and skinned alive and cut up and da da. We probably in some accounts say they ate to
Right.
do.
Right.
He didn't
Something like
probably
that.
do none of that shit. This the kind of mind, this is the kind of problem that you pose to the system when you think for yourself, when you teach
Um,
yourself. I got the collegiate education, whatever, but I went way past that. See, and so they do probably got the fuck away because if you notice what he did was right, if you get if you got a little heat inside you, right, and you feel passionate about some of these issues, particularly where Black liberation is concerned, and you might want to read into the history, your own history, to get inspired further, whatever. If you read about Nat Turner and you find out he got killed and soufflated in, that'll kind of extinguish a fuse in some people. That's what they want. A lot of our people who did that kind of shit didn't get caught, like John Horse. A lot of us didn't get caught, but they'll tell you that they did. That's also a tactic in itself. See, you can never let the beach tell you totally about your to the T whether they captured our heroes or not. And not really. I mean, you can read it, read the official account. You're trying to what they call the official account, whatever. Have a nice day. But you can
right.
never truly, this is my personal opinion. Take it, throw it away, whatever. I don't never let them motherfuckers tell us that our people got killed unless I seen this shit with my own eyes or something like that, or from a trusted source. Nat Turner
Right.
probably didn't get. He probably killed way more of them motherfuckers. Probably
It's
didn't
possible.
get caught. Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's a possibility that there's
Yeah,
some.
they got to make like he did get caught. Like we can still outsmart you niggas and shit. You see the brain damage they can imply.
Yeah.
He got us, but we got him in the end. That's as a lesson to the rest of you that will have a similar spirit for the similar reasons. This stuff is a psychological war out here. It always has been. And that goes against what dude's saying as well. He's trying to plant psychological, self-defeating seeds and shit to
Right.
those who would be weak, mentally weak enough to, whatever,
Right.
agree with him, whatever.
He want to throw out certain things about Sertima, and what really got me
Right,
was the Ike. I mean the Nate. I'm not even the Nat. I'm sorry. I'm not even on front. That really pissed me off because for me, that's what I felt. You doing this dismantle the Black community shit.
right.
You're gonna spread this misinformation, disinformation on top of that because it's a fictional writing. I don't know when, I don't remember when Nat Turner died, but this book was written in 1965. This book was written in 1965 about Nat Turner and called The Memoirs of Nat Turner. But it's a fiction. But it could be real because it does say memoirs. This nigga was attempting to discredit a man, a Black man on top of
They're trying to
it.
get
And
rid
they've
of
been.
Frederick Douglass. They're trying to get rid of a few of them. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just
Uh-huh.
the book says fiction, nigga. And
Uh-huh.
why did the other Black leaders go against that book? Because you're misrepresenting a person. This is
Uh-huh.
foolishness. It's bullshit.
The
We
Underground
can't
Railroad
let
was
you do
fake.
that.
All that
Oh
kind of
well, why
shit.
they was trying to hide it? They wasn't. Yeah, they trying to hide the bullshit. They don't
Right.
want people reading that shit and taking that shit serious. or just the fact that you even tried to say you just made up some story. You're gonna lie about this man. You're gonna lie on this man. Yeah, he was gay. Yeah, he had blood on his lip. I don't know why he had blood on his lip. What he do? Bite his the other dude bit his lip while they was embracing.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Fuck out of here.
And the fact that you know what killed me because I was listening when he brought up Jonathan and David. When their book
That's
brings up
why it do wild as hell.
Jonathan
Right,
and David.
right. And then okay, so I get it. Nat Turner would know about that story because he did read the Bible. So therefore, look
Right.
at it. That get the fuck out of here, man. I wouldn't be surprised if that shit was plagiarized from another book and then he just threw that shit in there. Fucking that. Get the fuck out of here, man.
I
What
would
the
have read.
whole thing
I wouldn't even read
with
that
What
shit if I was saying
but
read
that
that
was the
shit.
thing
black
they did
man
with
talks
Malcolm
like that?
X. That was the thing they did with Malcolm X when they said he was a male escort. Not
Right.
no
Right.
Right,
like as if male escorts can't only escort women.
right, right.
They have to be with men.
Yeah. Because he was a male escort. Yeah, the nigga he was out there, you know what I'm saying? Fucking
Right.
women and white women and
Right.
all that shit.
Detroit
Okay.
Red. Right.
Call him an escort. Okay, that's what he did. The nigga was gigolo or using
But
women
Right.
or whatever the fuck.
Gigolo, pretty much.
but
Yeah,
do y'all
Gigolo
notice
escort.
how they
Whatever.
discredit like
Fuck.
Maya Angelou and all these people because she was a prostitute at one point? You know,
Right.
Yeah,
sometimes people have to live their life and go through their
Right.
path in order to be who they are supposed to be. And
Facts.
I
exactly.
think it's really
Exactly.
disgusting to discredit these people because of the life they lived before they became who they were.
Right. Right.
I never disgraced the ancestors.
Yeah.
So I
You
don't know
know,
what dude's lineage is. That's another thing I was kind of thinking when he was talking. I said, dude, probably not even from the land, probably not even from
Well,
the soil.
he said he's from Connecticut. He used to be a Hebrew Israelite. He said his stamp is in the Israelite
whoa, whoa,
community
whoa,
to
whoa,
this
whoa,
day.
whoa, whoa,
A
whoa,
lot of
whoa.
those
He
cats
said
up
he's
there in
from.
the Northeast
Hold
is
up, hold up,
foreigners. They're from New York,
hold,
Connecticut,
hold up, hold
Jersey.
up,
They don't have
hold
no
up.
down
What?
south lineage. Probably
Excuse me a
foreigners.
minute.
Go
Excuse
ahead,
me a
brother.
minute. He said he's from where? Connecticut. Where?
Right. Connecticut,
I
dude,
want to
really?
say he said Bridgeport. He might
Black
have said
folks are not
another
from
thing with a B. Give me
Bridgeport.
another one with a B.
Bridge. Um. Um. Um.
Yeah, but we're
He
not.
said
Bridgeport.
40
There's
minutes from
Historically,
New
we're not
Bristol.
from
York.
the
There's
Brooklyn and out
Bristol.
in
There's
Connecticut.
Bristol. There's Bristol, Connecticut. There's Bridgeport, Bristol.
In LA and stuff like
Uh.
that.
Huh? No, we're talking about Connecticut, bro.
I'm talking about. I'm
Wherever
just
it
saying
is,
the
he
foreigners.
said it's
You know.
40 minutes from New York. So
Yeah.
wherever that is with a B,
But
that's it.
that could be anywhere in Connecticut, from what I remember.
It said it
I don't.
started with a B. I can't
Yeah,
remember
so it's
what he
either
said.
Bridgeport or Bristol. I can't think of anything else at the moment. It's been years since I've been home, but
Yeah, most of our roots are
um,
from the South, and we end up in the North and get Connecticut's and New York's and New
yes,
Jersey's.
yeah,
See, you
definitely.
know,
My people are originally from Virginia.
facts.
You know,
Mine's out of Alabama.
my father's side, that is. My father's side is originally from Virginia. I never did find out about my mother's side.
Yeah,
I never did. I don't think we ever had that conversation. But
that's
yeah.
what I've heard. The people I've heard say similar talking points like that about Sertimas and your Dr. Benz usually were foreigners. Last time I heard this kind of conversation come up. You know, yeah,
Nah, I've
you black
heard
people
this
think
deep.
you conscious community, blackity black. Those people are Vert Sertima wasn't a real historian, wasn't a real da da da. That's why they be having accents and shit. He had an
Nah, I've
accent.
heard
He's like
this.
he had a little accent.
I've heard this story from many of some of the so-called quote unquote top debaters in the conscious community that Ivan Van Sertima is not to his work is pseudo.
Yeah, particularly in the area that we established the black presence in pre-Columbian times in South America. They can't stand that shit.
What is like
They
it
can't
seems like it just
stand
hurts
that shit.
people's feelings.
That they don't want to show an African presence in pre-Columbian time. That's really the hard line. He did a lot of things Sertima did. He pushed a lot of information, but that part of his search, his legacy that what deals with the
Like
black
I gotta make
presence,
a call.
they can't stand that shit. They can't stand that one in particular. Because Latinos down there and down in Latin America, and they want to oppose the out of Africa, so-called out of Africa theory, particularly where the Olmec civilization is concerned. And that's what assertive. He's known to say that all mixed were black and Africa had African features and all this, which I agree with. No problem. But they can just they contest that hotly. That's highly debatable. From
That
what
be the mixed out ones, because the ones who are, they don't, they understand. Like it, this shit.
yeah,
Like, what is
right,
it so hard that it was trade going on? It was so many things happening. The one question that I always ask is, you claim, even if you go with the outer Africa theory, you claim Africans went all over this world, but
right,
just somehow they couldn't get to the Americas.
right. Hell, there's many currents that go from Africa to South America for eons. If you go at a certain time of the year, there's a current that'll take you straight off Western Africa right to goddamn South
But I
America
think that's
without
why they
without even having a
dismiss.
sail. It'll just
I
push you
think
over.
I think that's why they dismiss claims of like Atlantis and stuff like that,
Right.
because those would be the lands, the middle lands that could, I think that's why a lot of this stuff is dismissed, and a lot of this stuff, yeah, no, this is not
Yeah.
true.
They
And it's
have to.
because the
Right.
European tells you it's not true.
Right.
But
Right.
I bet you if these motherfuckers start going back and looking at some of these old ass maps,
Right. Right. Yeah, they have to make you localized to Africa. That's what they're trying. You
hmm
cannot be a global people. You are not able to try to get in your head. You're not a global people. I don't care what you say. You're not global. You're Africans from Africa, which is big countries, this, that, and other. Yeah, you're powerful, but you're powerful just over there. And then we brought you over here, or you came later on over here as immigrants and all this other shit.
Yeah, you
That's the
couldn't
point why
do
they do
nothing.
that, from my
But that's the
understanding,
thing.
to
The
show
the
that you're
point
not fit
is
right.
that
Right.
you couldn't do nothing without them.
That's part of it. They'll say if you did do this, they'll just take the credit, say we brought you here or whatever. But you remember you're not supposed to be from here. You're not from here because you're not a global people. That's the deepest brain damage. Where
hmm
even if you come on your own recognizances later, you still not from here though. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you came later. we and
It's
so
because of
Sertima,
us that
he
you are
his information
immigrant.
really bust them across the head, and that's what his
hmm
part of his work that really busts their head open, is they try to say no, they trying to, which make, if we believe it, then it fits, to kind of help them convince
And
us
then
that we,
some of the evidence he used, is, oh, this is bullshit.
right,
But Darwin used some of the same as evidence to prove his claim, and he got the biggest claim to fame in the scientific community. Like, let's stop playing this fucking game.
yeah, it's interesting. The timing of them trying to erase everything is interesting. The way they're trying to say a lot of the Black American history historians is like not there. They didn't, there's been speculation that Frederick Douglass isn't real, Harriet Tubman isn't real, the Underground Railroad was made up, and Nat Turner's not real. And damn, that's it's very interesting. You know,
Yeah, I've been
you know,
hearing that Turner ain't real for years.
that's
For
interesting to me.
years. It's like, this is weird.
It's
I'm
interesting.
telling you.
It's very interesting to me. Yeah, man. And if you don't have the degrees, remember the visionaries that start most of your companies don't have degrees. They all visionaries. To be a visionary, you have to come out of what's the accepted point of view typically. That's the point of being a visionary. You can't go to
But
school to be a visionary per se. I won't say
hmm
absolutely, but by and large, most of the biggest names, they don't have college degrees like that, because you have to create a reality. Once you create that reality and get people to buy into it, now you kind of need people to run the day-to-day operations. Now we get into degrees and things like that. Something that's repeatable. You just keep repeating the same shit over. When you come to work, you don't keep doing the same shit, mainly over and over, because we're not really paying you for your brain power. We're not paying you to invent and create shit outside of the. Notice how the most of your companies are ran like your colleges. They want you to they want you to do the same shit, right? According to, like you said, a predisposed formula, right? But
hmm
but the visionary that start the motherfuckers, man, fuck a goddamn degree. Them people don't have no damn degrees, but but to hire you. But the funny thing is, to work for them, you gotta have one. A lot of people don't know that. It's a simple truth, but it's very interesting. To be a boss, you don't need a degree, guys. You don't need a degree to be a boss. To be a billionaire, millionaire, you don't need no degrees. They don't believe, they don't do degrees like that. That's only employee shit. So I would like to say for Van Sertem and others who didn't have maybe weren't awarded collegiate degrees or whatever, those are considered visionaries, in my opinion. Those are all visionaries. See, Nat Turner was a visionary. Yeah, he read the Bible. He was taught Christian teachings. Back in that time, it was probably more brain damaging than it is now, but arguably, but he was taught a certain degree of Christianity. We all seen the stories. We all read the excerpts of different movies and clips that show the white guy sitting in the church when Nat Turner and other black preachers would preach to make sure you're not teaching nothing outside of the narrative, right? Nothing outside of the narrative. He had the white guy. There's many pictures and illustrations show the white guy sitting in the church while Nat and just other preachers, black preachers preaching to the local slave population to make sure you don't go. Point being, you don't go past the narrative they want you to do because they want to make sure they know what you're capable of doing. See, it's very interesting. This is some interesting shit. It was psychological brain damage, psyops and shit. They got to be able to fully understand what you're capable of thinking of. And the people that they scared to death of is off the
it
grid
gets,
people.
but Sadiq, it gets even crazier for those of us who recognize this. We
Right.
become the crazy people.
Of course. Right. Steve Jobs, or anybody that be below become a visionary, they're all considered awful crazy. The ideas was totally lunacy. To create a phone you could talk in a box and that motherfucker, you can hear that shit across the street. What the fuck? You clearly need medication. Right? Clearly. you could talk into your hand and ain't nobody there and shit. So that's just being part of being a visionary. That's part of the or prophet, or if you spiritually in tune like that. Same thing, whatever.
Even
Yeah.
when you could look across the globe and see what's really happening, and you're telling people, and they looking at you like, I don't see that. Well, open your
Right.
motherfucking eyes, because
Right.
you walking around with your eyes wide shut.
Right.
Because this is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really getting crazy. It's
I
really
think
getting
it's very
crazy.
interesting. Yeah, this is crazy. I think very interesting the way they're trying to Jedi mind trick a motherfucker, and
Mm-hmm.
they will trick most because that's kind of how the mind works. The collective mind as well. They can trick
That's that
most.
85%.
Right. Right.
That 85%. And a lot of people, the science to the 5% thing is a really real. And
Oh yeah.
not, and people don't, it's the 5, it's the 10, and it's the 85.
Right. Yeah, you got a set of people, and so those who subscribe to religion, biblical religion, or Quranic religion, or whatever, or even in 5% variety, we know that
She been a whole
the regular people don't know anything, right? And so to continue what you said on to what you're saying, by and large, most people don't know nothing. By and large, most of the brain cells in the brain don't even know anything. It's a small part of your brain that's actually active, even how I was to have this phone call. You don't need your whole brain to make a phone call, right? And you don't need everybody to wake up, black people to all wake up globally for us to turn this bitch upside down, right? And so my point is that they know that. I forgot what I was going to go with this point. But basically, what?
on Twine G, nigga on T-Rail. Straight say that shit. On
Yeah,
blood.
yeah. And so they know that. Oh yeah. And so the people that know that run this motherfucker, that like you said, the dude, my boy God Marlon would say, the 10% are the ones that's in charge of this motherfucker. The enemy is not the. This is what I was gonna say. Them dead, most of them big dead swaths of dead, horrid, dead, mentally dead, walking motherfuckers, the automatons, where they don't question shit. They function automatically like AI. They're talking AI right now to run everything automatically, whether it be a business or whatever. They call it automation. Your automaton is a dead motherfucker who don't question shit. They do the same thing every day, more or less. The top 10% don't quit. They don't look at them as a threat. Who the threat is the motherfucker that woke up. That's your issue right there. People that went around the system that we talking about. People that went outside the conventional limits of conventional education. That's your problem right there. because we the only ones that actually see the people that's controlling this bitch. We the only ones that can articulate to those dead masses. We have the power to wake up the dead masses if given proper access. So they try to block us with the censorship and try to, like you said, gaslight us to the dead. And they tell the dead, man, motherfuckers is crazy. You tell the dead, them motherfuckers is bizarre. This, that, and other. But the bizarre and the strange is the ones, even in the religious text, the strange, these people having visions and dreams and all of this shit. Those are the people that's going to tell you how it works. They're your visionaries in that context. See, you know. You always have to go outside the system. You're actually supposed to. There's nothing really like you. Just these guys who versus Vince Sertum or whoever, he just happened to be unique and he just decided to step out. No, you have to go outside that motherfucker if you want to actually get the bigger picture, the broader picture, to see if the motherfuckers in the education system are telling you guys the truth. We need outsiders. We need outlaws. Those are your rebels. See, that's what made him back to Mac Turner. That's what made him such a rebel, because while he was reading the Christianity according to conventional thought at that time, he went beyond that shit and he had some other beliefs. They don't talk about that much, but he had some other spiritual beliefs and feelings that he was in tune with. He was waiting for the stars to move a certain way. They don't teach Christians to think like that regarding the Christian studies. And so when he seen that star move a certain way, he knew that was the time to make his move. See? Now, had he stayed in the conventional sense and just learned whatever they wanted him to know or whatever, the rest of the insurrection might have never happened. It's something else, man. It's really interesting how they try to put that psychological brain damage on you.
I think it's just even more interesting when it's your own people.
Well, it's the most effective that way, right?
Yeah, this shit is weird to me.
It's that we have to know how evil works, whether it's on disease, human reality, or whatever reality. The person that or whatever pushes the evil, in this case, a white person pushing evil onto black people. If you really want to brain damage a nigga, you may upset some white person. You'll see me coming a mile away. Okay. You see me down the street. We won't even get the troops won't even get to your door because you don't see me 10 miles away. But when they get to your door and probably in something, you probably let them in. If you send a motherfucker that look like you, if you send a motherfucker that look like strict, that's militarily smart and interesting. Whatever side we're on this thing, we can appreciate the strategy of it all, because of a beast or whatever. You're behind enemy lines. At the end of the day, this is spiritual warfare. That's all is fair in warfare. All is fair. So they'll send a coon. So why not send a coon to your doorstep to see how smart or dumb we are? See. If you don't believe none of your your figures are real, we might just get you. We might just get you. You see what I'm saying? Or if you don't believe that, okay, well, we'll say maybe they got killed at the end of their insurrection. Yeah, their illustrious history and moment in history was this, but they was captured. Do you believe it? If you do, they might limit. If you do get started, they might limit your mojo. You might not have to fire because you might think you're gonna get killed and shit. You see how the beast works? Yeah, see how evil works? They use whatever they got to on you. Dude probably killed 200 or 300 whites. Nat Turner probably did, or more. There was probably way more people involved in that insurrection than what they give us credit, would give dude credit for. He probably never did get caught. They're the one
They
that
was
gave you.
never
They the
gonna
one that
tell us
gave you that.
that.
They're the one that gave you the narrative. Remember, who wrote the book to say he got caught? They did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say throw away absolutely. It could be accurate. Maybe he only did kill 50. Maybe he did get skinned alive. That's not absolutely impossible. No absolutes, right? But you see what I'm saying? I put a doubt on the official record.
Well, because when you go and read that trial transcript, it just reads like they were putting a story together because they don't want you to really know the truth.
And once you get fired the fuck up off that shit, you know what that a fire? I mean, you all spark a fire up in this. That was their worst nightmare. And there was many more they don't tell us about that happened before that. They got their ass kicked routinely in doing cattle slavery, the era of cattle slavery, and during Jim Crow and the civil rights era as well. You know. And there was many Rosa Parks moments. They just tell you about that one. There's many people went on that bus and sat down like that, but they didn't take off like Rosa Parks did.
That
Many
lady
they
just
tried that
died
many
too.
times. Yeah.
Claudette Cloven, she just died not too long ago.
You know. So when I hear people like, dude, I said, okay, whatever. I ain't gonna argue and debate with him. I'm not gonna be in his spitting in the I'm not gonna be in his, going, whatever. But He not fooling nobody. He not fooling me. I speak for myself.
Hmm. I don't know. I just. That's why I really choose not to be like debating people back here. Sometimes I get a little out my body and be like, yeah, let's do it. But at times it's like, why am I going to argue with somebody who absolutely believes everything that they read?
Right.
Doesn't make sense. And then with somebody like me, who's what they call a contrarian, right? I absolutely have a question for everything. Even when the answer's there, I still question it. I have
Yeah.
to. That's the way my brain works.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's what the woman helps us do. The man, we can't be too domineering, controlling. While we're not receptive by nature compared to the lady, we have to. The wise man is different from the dumb man in that regard. He receives counsel and allows the lady to function in her full femininity as her receiving our knowledge and testing said knowledge is concerned. She lets us know what works and what don't, pretty much. That's what wisdom is probably largely feminine in its footprint, so to speak, and where it stands in by its very nature of what wisdom is. And so, based on my where I understand how I live, is that the lady will convince you, like when she receives, she'll give you back what don't work. See what I'm saying? And she'll take what do work to a whole nother level. Right? She take that shit to a whole nother fucking level. But that's what she's supposed to. That she's acting in her nature. See, you don't beat her across the head and tell her what to do. Absolutely, right? You can even take this conversation to a whole nother level and on another level. But yeah, that's. So like even sexually, she takes something from the male and reacts to it and takes it to a whole nother level. Notice it's not just juice and water anymore, sperm anymore. She take that shit to a whole nother level. It's like she works like that mentally too, on where knowledge and wisdom and
Nuh-uh.
understanding is
Us
concerned.
black women got all black men on crack. Let them tell it.
Right. When you
That
get into
was
the
crack.
gender gap and all that war, like, you get conversation get wild as hell. I find that interesting too. It get real wild in both directions. I'm like, man, shit, man, I ain't about to go into all that. But yeah, how I understand is that the man, he's simple minded. He's simple minded because the lady has a more comprehensive mind. And so we're more visual as a result of being simple minded, where she's not. And so if we're more visual, then ask yourself, well, what is she then? If he's more visual, then what is she? She's not visual. And so that's why the men have to help the ladies see through things, but yet she's powerful in her regard. So our simple mindedness allows us to get shit done, to start shit, to get shit done, and typically. And so we delay. We need her to help power us, to help take all of the possibilities and make them manifest based on the perspective of the male. Whatever he injects or gives to her, she takes it and make it bigger. She makes it more stronger, more powerful, and vice versa. Without the male from the female side, if she don't have the light, then she has to be confused. You see a lot of confusion, a lot of logic issues, a lot of the mess. Women don't, I mean, women, you can't live with them, without them. Can't make sense of shit. And you'll see a lot of women acting, or men will have low testosterone. They act kind of like that too, right? Kind of brain fogged or whatever, and kind of be all over the place, right? Understandably, right? So we would need vision, purpose. Male energy helps establish that primarily by nature, not absolutely, but by nature. And so, I don't want to go too far ahead of myself, but it's a lot you can say about this shit, and this also ties back into the Nat Turner. It's all related. And so the Nat Turner thing is, with that being said, he gets we as males get shit done if we allow it to function in our proper nature. But they had to keep us mentally this is why they push homosexuality, or particularly on the male, particularly. They target us with that shit more or less. For that very reason. They have to keep us non-visual, estrogen sky high, right? We emotional at that point. We can't make definitive choices, whatever. We're slow to move. And so women by nature a true heterosexual, organic woman won't respect that. She'll challenge you at every turn. By Light already said, the other women of my life have said, I love to ask questions. I wake up in the middle of the night with questions. Questions crawl. My skin crawls with questions. and that's fine. That's normal. Well, you nigga, you supposed to have the goddamn answers. You supposed to have the goddamn answers. And for those who've had the answers and your stuff worked, okay. Her skin still crawls with questions on a higher level. She take your ass higher. She's still trying to test your ass. And then yet you develop yourself, y'all develop, put knowledge to wisdom, and then you spit out understanding, whether it's a physical baby, whether it's mental, whether it's a brain child, which is also giving birth. You can give birth mentally as well. Called revelation or epiphany. You go to the next level in one way or another. See, all this fighting man back and being better than women, this stuff, man, whatever. You have fun, knock yourself out. But there's a higher order to that stuff, in my opinion.
Let's make commemorative coins like these too.
So when we say men are simple minded, we're not saying it in a negative. You can see the rationale I give you actually explains why you see this modality carried out in holy books all over the place. And so you'll see older men with younger women, particularly for that reason. If our minds are simpler, we need to be older for our mind to catch up. If a woman's mind is more comprehensive, she can almost have the mentality amplitude to surpass a male or an equal footing at a younger age. They're getting together not because of some deviant solely sexually related. She develops much faster mentally than he does. He needs to be older than her to match mentally. Now, physically, he's older, right? And even, she does, and it's easy to prove this stuff. You're going to see, you put a 15, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old girl with another 16-year-old guy. She's going to look at him like, dude, this dude head on another planet. He ain't thinking about nothing. So her head is probably 10 years older, basically, give or take, than his, because that's what wisdom/chaos is all about. So that's what most of nature is. Most of nature is feminine, right? So most of the mind is subconscious, right? And so that's also considered feminine as well. I won't go too far ahead of myself, but that's your fertile territory. And so they want to stop Nat Turner and those who will become like him, right? Particularly the male aspect of not understanding that or wanting to become your next Nat Turner, 2026 and beyond. See, so they send you back. They send people like my dude back here to help blink your mind out, blink ideas out your head, which is then go into darkness, right? Which is not visual. That hurts us males because we can't see when we ignorant. We not seeing shit. You could say it that way. And when we not seeing shit, we don't know shit. You could say it that way. See, very interesting. I'll tell you, this stuff is extremely interesting when you get really dive into the different levels of it. See,
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
this stuff is
Yeah.
mind blowing when you dive into it. They want to curb the light from being casted into darkness,
Yeah.
so it won't
'Cause
comprehend
a
it
lot
now.
of a lot of boys learn by hands-on. A
Facts,
lot of boys learn by
right?
hands-on.
Which requires exactly visual amplitude/logic functioning. The lady is a potential of logic if given proper knowledge. So she receives and becomes wise. We've seen a foolish woman who's older who don't really know anything. She doesn't receive knowledge from a guy she respects because she's not used to dealing with high value, respectable men that she would dare even stand and submit to. So she refuses to receive knowledge in that regard. So she just picks it up wherever she can in the way that she sees fit. But a woman typically who rises to the top of society, that we could all respect, motherfucker's brilliant, powerful, no man around, but she's part. Dude died 10 years ago, but she's still powerful. Dude died 20 years ago, but she got all kind of money. She got all kind of property. I go on and on. I could name all this. She got a big family, got all this because she received and she's taken to another level, even when dude long gone. He don't really have to be there necessarily. That's how powerful the male energy is. Even if you look at some of these ancient deities, ancient symbols of mythology, whether it be Kemet or whatever, Sumeria, whatever, you always see the woman standing there with a damn kid. What do you think they're trying? I won't go too far ahead of myself. It's a reason for that. It's a reason why you see a woman standing there with oftentimes with no man. It's a reason for that. I was almost gonna talk to Light about that. Remember Light, I said we're gonna kick it about the moon one time when you get a chance.
Yeah.
We're gonna go into that like it's not a rock particular. It's not just a floating rock like you were saying. It represents way more than that. Yeah, it's way, way, way more than that. But anyway, it kind of ties back into that mythology. That was the example I was mentioning. That's why you seen a woman standing there. Why you see the moon? Some say it makes its own light. Yee, man, let me stop. But anyway,
Nah, don't stop. Why you stopping?
let me
Don't
let me let me,
stop. You can't stop.
let me pump the brakes up in this month. Yeah, I won't
You
go too fast.
can't
It
stop.
gets extremely interesting. I'm telling you, it gets way, man. We can blast off of this motherfucker. It's a reason why that's been speculated. Why I'll just leave it at that. It's a reason why it is the same reason why you don't see male deities by some of them statues when they talk about the original Virgin Mother or the primordial mother. She just has a child with her, or whether you look at the Islamic political so-called political symbol and you see a moon just with a star. Notice you don't see the sun, but a moon and a star. Star is the child, and the moon is the mother. It's a reason. So you see that deified in the mythology as well. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's a reason for that. You ever wonder why they were? Why you ever wonder why? Well, even the white version for those who was Catholics. You ever wonder why Virgin Mary would always have a little Jesus, and you never seen the husband right there and shit? But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it's reasons for that. But the with the yeah. So we got to work with the male female. We got to work together to put our specialties together. That's what that's called. A woman can be a better leader than any man. There's no absolutes. A woman, it's women that can really run, but by nature, typically the male, he specializes further in logic and knowledge primarily. So you'll typically see the society mainly ran largely from a point where the things that you see like construction, buildings and math and metallurgy and fields of endeavor where manufacturing is concerned to bring about the things that you see physically, primarily logically oriented. You're gonna have to kind of think logically to get those things out. But it comes out of the earth. But yet they gotta apply what they learn, these engineers. So it's a feminine modality in there. But yet it's initiated and organized and sequentially put together by masculine energy, masculine thought. It's very interesting. I mean, it really is, but yeah. Very interesting. Indeed.
I don't know, because when you go into the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine energy,
Right.
there's a definite pushback
Oh,
from
hell yeah.
it's like they don't want the. So
Hell
from
no.
my studies, is the divine feminine energy has been in hiding because it's not safe. It wasn't safe, and
Right.
now she's trying to rear her head, and there's such a pushback from the masculine energy, and it's interesting to see. It's interesting to watch.
Yeah. They have to turn everything back. I call it by the code 6, flip it backwards. So the male needs to become a woman, and the woman need to become a male. You know, very
No, I
interesting.
think
Hey,
that
hey, you know,
I feel like the powers that be, because we're not even gonna just talk about like just regular everyday people, right? Like myself
right,
and you.
right,
The powers that be understand. They
right,
understand the power of the woman more so than the
right,
people do.
right. Facts. That's
And
facts.
a lot of the societies that were matriarchal have been all but erased out of history because it shows that women, and it's not that the woman in those societies was above the man or the man was
Right,
under her. They worked in unison together. Her wisdom was held in high regard.
right.
And that's the thing. People don't, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a lot and it gets deep, and you can't really have these conversations with everybody.
And we shouldn't. Everybody exists at different perspectives, different levels. Everybody been through different experiences. Now, if we
Mm-hmm.
black or whatever, I go ahead and add where you black people are concerned, as far as just arguing and trying to be like we not done some of those things. We better than we both call hell. Both our family sides, families call hell, in my opinion. So we should work together. But from an evil standpoint, I specialize in studying that stuff and how to alchemize it to good. As I think that's the highest order of any Christ energy or any Messianic energy force could resurrect and represent is the alchemical conversion of dark energy to light, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's why
so,
my
man,
name is Step
right,
Into the Light.
right.
Step into the light. But so do you do you feel like Earth itself needs to be mothered at this point?
Yeah, right now on the planet, we are actually in a flood, allegorical flood. We're back in the flood
Hmm.
again. Okay,
Right.
the
Yeah,
flood
sorry.
water represents chaos and confusion and outright ignorance and full blown judgment, depending on how you define it. At any rate, we know that there's an ending of one world and the beginning of another happening concurrently, right? And so, with that being said, we need wisdom on a higher order, but yet to go from a code 9, from code 6, or the reverse of order, high order via wisdom, we have utter chaos. And so that's going on too. Now, we what to help protect those who will be protected during these times, you need profound divine wisdom, which is typically feminine. You have to surrender, you have to give of yourself. Hence feminine. These were not just throwaway words. You have to actually live the shit out. You have to
Hmm.
surrender in your life. You have to act feminine. Male, this is not sexual. This is just, I'm just using gender related codes to illustrate the underlying occult truth. So you have to submit and you have to receive. See, we have to, like a lady, she has the holes and stuff on her body to receive, and ears receive. Anything holes and stuff receive. You receive, information or whatever, and submit and all this other stuff for a day that you may rise stronger, 10 times stronger than you ever were beforehand. And so the time is now to do that, is to receive, and be wise, hence mother, so to speak, be a mother. Mother is the first university to the child. We know that, which kind of goes back to that mythology symbolism. At any rate, we have to receive and be wise in this time. And so we have to also receive knowledge, which is male energy, so we can fucking see. Okay, we got to be able to see what the hell's going on and shit. Luminaries hand out eyesight, right? And so we had this, which is masculine, but we had to receive so we could see in the dark. It's nice to see in the light. We was taught to see in the light, see in the daytime, but we had to be able to see allegorically, esoterically, metaphorically speaking, in the dark. We are living in dark times. So you
Hmm.
have to see in the dark in this regard. If you can't see in the dark, you can't understand how evil work, understand how it manifests and twists and turn on a dime, whatever, via wisdom, right? We in somebody in trouble, right? Somebody's in trouble. A lot of your religious texts will say to agree with my line of reasoning. I don't care what book we dealing with, Revelation, in the Quran, whatever. And during these times on the planet, the scriptures and surahs is written and articulated along those lines, as it would be, as it would be naturally during these times. And so going back to the downside of wisdom, we're dealing with chaos. And so that's the dark, or the antithesis of wisdom. That's the divine feminine, that's wicked as fuck. That's pro insanity. That feeds the ego. That's the mainly feminine energy that does that. What we call descended feminine energy, dark energy, not visual. We're going into the darkness where we can't see, we can't readily see or differentiate what's going on. I can't tell what's a man or woman because I can't see the difference. I can't differentiate the difference. I can't think I think holistically now because I'm thinking feminine. The whole thing is fucked up. I'm tired of the whole thing. How many times we heard all that? Because
I
we
did.
think
I
holistically.
did
When
it.
we're confused, we think holistically. When we're in the dark, we confused because we can't see. Notice when you in anybody's house, even your own house, you've been in for 10 years, turn the lights out in that motherfucker, right? And walk around there for any given length of time. Everything looks the same because you can't see the difference. You can't differentiate. This is how the subconscious functions. I don't want to go too far ahead of myself,
I just
but you
think
get
that when you study the return of the grandmothers is a concept that's ancient for us as a people, but now I notice that white women have taken the whole science of it and made it their own.
right.
And so the return of the grandmothers is the study of the earth needing to be mothered. The earth has been under patriarchal rule for so long that the earth itself needs to be mothered.
Yeah, the
And now
It can
mothering.
be a
you,
Right. Go
restore
ahead.
balance.
Right.
yeah, we have to restore the balance. So it's like, if you, they try to make it like women are just, they're not just doing anything, but no, women
Right.
are creating great strides, and it seems like we're trying to be pushed back and held down and belittled and demeaned because they understand that once the woman is restored back to where she needs to be, it's going to be all hell to pay.
Right. You open the floodgates on high, the feminine
Mm-hmm.
energy on high. When you open up that high wisdom, you'll see forms of understanding in every level, and there's some levels you can't even imagine. From an evil
Mm-hmm.
standpoint, that's a nightmare, and they have to suppress that, understandably.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And to do that, they have to make the lady more like a man that's not needing a man. We've heard them say it many times before. We know we don't never hear the Chinese woman, I need no man. You never heard the Indian, I don't need no man, or the Arab lady, I don't need a. You just don't hear that. So what that tells you is that somebody's been hit over the head psychologically, intentional,
But it's
with
not
some
that
degree
I
with
think
some
that
degree of with some degree of success. And
but I
but
think
see,
that the whole you don't need a man thing, I think it's taken out of context. It's been
right,
pushed out of context
facts,
because it wasn't that we don't need you, right? We need like at some point in history, we needed a man, right? Because there was things that we could not do on our own,
right.
right? Then you got all of these
As far as
different
America, yeah.
nuances that plays that, well, this is where it's at, right? Then you have all these nuances that plays a part in that, right? When we get into the drugs in our community, we get into all these other things, and men being out of the house because for whatever reason, right? Because there's like you said, no absolutes, there's different reasons why.
Right, right.
And so when women say they don't need a man, it's that like we don't need you financially anymore,
Now, I'll add
right?
that we don't not. I mean, I agree with who however we want to live. At the end of the day,
Right.
we've since. I'm gonna kind of digress a little bit. We've since lost our luster as Black people. We've been hit in the head on both sides, male and female alike, and and unfortunately fell into some degree of darkness both sides, and so we've not been able to identify the enemy in modern times, whereas when we look back in our history, particularly in Jim Crow and earlier, where we had a clear understanding and identity of who that was,
I
because we
don't
had
know
proper.
because if you look at Jim Crow, you would
I'm gonna
see.
run this point out real quick. Is that what we had proper vision where knowledge and wisdom was concerned, and so
Hmm.
that came out of our minds and created a reality that we could be proud of in the physical plane. Right now, we used to
I
kick
mean,
ass too. We haven't heard of any proper silver unrest here since the damn '60s. That's telling you something that we've
but
been
it's
hit in the
it's,
head
it's just a whole bunch
psychologically.
of.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree with you, right? Because when we look at it, when we start to remove some of the nuances, I agree with you. But then you have to
right.
look at in the middle of Jim Crow, when they're marching, you have groups of men out there with picket signs advocating to marry white women. You see
No,
what I'm
We
saying?
need to kill
So
them
it's like,
niggas.
no,
right.
but
Yeah,
that's it. But this is literally we're in the middle of Jim Crow when we supposed to be standing with each other, arm in
right.
arm, you in front, me behind, or me on the side, you on the side, whoever, however it went. You
Right.
absolutely, and I mean, I can pull this shit. You had them out there with their mixed babies, and they out there with picket signs advocating to marry white women in the middle of fucking Jim Crow.
Now I'll go ahead and say this. Where Jim Crow is concerned, and we're dealing with Armageddon for the spiritual Armageddon, for the lack of a better word, on a mental plane.
Word.
If you work for the system, particularly during when we start realizing it's time to kick their asses, then we need to step up some of the mental psyop public political tricks that we're going to broadcast to the world via the media. Greek meaning of media is one who creates illusions. Medea is a Greek term. She would create
Hey, I
wicked
don't.
illusions.
You're
And
on point, brother. I don't mean to cut you off,
go
but
ahead.
I'm gonna need you for a documentary in the future. I'm gonna just let you know.
For sure, brother. Anytime. I'm trying to keep it light. I can go way so much more shit. I'm just trying to keep it so I don't want to get too esoteric on here. Because I have to usually I talk to people personally. I had to get in the group. I don't really talk in groups like that. But anyway, I appreciate it. Whenever you get ready, let me know, brother. You got
I
my full
got you.
attention.
But I think when
Now
we having like
I want to go
a
more
setting
into
like this that we
right,
have where we can actually converse and throw
right.
information at each
This is
other
how
and
I do.
toss
Right.
it
I don't debate.
around. Yeah, I
Right,
think this
right.
is a
I don't
perfect
debate.
setting. Now some
Right.
people will get on this call and then we'll have to cut the conversation short. And I call
Right.
that's what I call the demiurge. The demiurge always comes in and
Right.
creates chaos in the middle of
Right.
something that's not chaotic.
And we can talk about that too. It's all connected. I mean, one thing about those who know me personally, they know I'm able to connect the dots. I'm learning. I'm still learning a whole lot. I learn every day by being quiet. Notice I'm not cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm receiving. I'm submitting on the phone. I'm acting in
Hell
feminine
yeah.
modality, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, silence is typically feminine. You ever notice all the religious books say the most highest female is silent because
Mm-hmm.
listening is technically by specialty feminine. I don't want to digress off the point I'm going
Yeah,
to
that's
about Jim
interesting.
Crow. And talking is considered masculine. Now, where we come from, they're gonna flip the shit around via code 6, and you know how that turns out. With that being said, the Medea is a Greek deity that was is feminine variety to cater to desires and illusions. Desires mainly as typically a feminine specialty to like into the subconscious, the source of all. And so, point is that Medea was great at confusing people, and she was considered the quote god of illusion or whatever. That's just why the current modality to convey information to the world, particularly where harming us psychologically is concerned, is called the media, particularly. And we get into the Hollywood. Hollywood is actually that's actually a special wood out of Celtic Europe. It's
Yeah,
actually a
yeah, it's so
magical wood that
good.
casts spells on my. That's why they call it shit Hollywood. But it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
which is the seed of media, But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Crow. Let me see, Jim Crow and what's the guys with marching, talking about advocating white women, whatever. They did a lot of things to trick us during that time. Do you notice that most of us didn't march? Do you know that most of us didn't believe in peaceful protest? That march on self, Bettis Bridge, where dude getting beat up, that Democratic
Mm-hmm.
Republican representative they keep pulling up all the time. I forget his name. They keep pushing him. They keep pushing him all over the place before he died recently, not too long ago,
Oh,
because
you
they
Mm-hmm.
talking
wanted to
about
give
that
you a
one dude? I know
message.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
forget my
but
this on the tip of my tongue. That's by design. They will put some black guys up there to push interracial marriages to confuse you and to confuse those who would believe it. You can't believe
But
what's
do
on that
you call
media.
it a confusion, brother, when there's
Yeah,
actually anti-amalgamation laws where they were marrying white women? Like this stuff is not something that just happened at Jim Crow. It was happening long before Jim Crow.
right. Now, and I'll go ahead and say
Why did
this
they
too.
want
It's
to make
happening
it a
today
law
at a
though?
higher rate more
Oh
than it ever
yeah,
was
I
because of the
today.
reason I'm about to go into. It's a smart military strategy. This stuff is a lot. It's very interesting.
It's war.
Militarily, it's brilliant from the evil standpoint. If they can, because I'm a white guy. I need to survive. I'm dying
Jackie,
out.
turn your camera off. Don't
I'm
nobody
dying
need to
out.
see you.
Right, and I'm
I'm
not
sorry,
reproducing.
Sadiq,
Right, go ahead.
but he just blew my ear with that turning his camera on,
You
turn my
need to get a
speaker
new
on while
phone
I have my.
then. Throw your phone in the trash and get a new one.
You stupid. I got a Galaxy,
Suki
baby.
D.
Ain't no phone better
Y'all
than
see my ass or
a
whatever it is, you need a
Galaxy.
new model. You need to trade that motherfucker
No,
in.
when you turn the camera on, it turns the speaker
That
on
ain't how that
everybody's
goes.
phone.
You just got a
On
broken phone.
everybody's phone, it does that.
It don't never do that on my
Right.
phone.
Yes, it
Y'all just got
does.
the cheap phones. That's what that is. Don't try to put your cheap
Nigga,
phone on
This
me.
the
nigga,
Galaxy
the
is better
divine
than the
masculine has
thing.
entered the.
Anyway, can we go back to the conversation? Hello?
Yeah, so they had to constantly show you. We back to the Malcolm Henry, the quote unquote, the approach that Nat Turner didn't exist. That approach, the psychological Jedi mind trick. They used that in the Jim Crow civil rights era as well to show you getting beat up every 5 minutes on there. That only happened a few times in history during from 40s to the 60s, particularly in the 40s and 50s. But as
True.
we moved into the 60s, in the late 60s in particular, we was actually kicking more ass than ever. They don't ever
Hell yeah.
show you that. You don't
Of
ever how
course
many
not.
they're not gonna show you that the men was talking about, we need black women. We marched for doing that for like crazy putting that out there, but they control the media and the images that you were to see, particularly where the black woman
That's
is
right.
concerned. And so I'm gonna go a little further. Notice that and some interesting happened with that said moving into the late 60s when our ass kicking rates began to reach a fever pitch. And so they, particularly in the late 60s. And so they had to kill MLK. That's when Malcolm X died and a lot of other shit popped off right at that critical time because we had got found our bag. And so we had found the soul power. So they began to push medication into the public school system. If you notice that, for those who grew up in the 70s and early 70s and 80s, a lot of the black males were actually considered retarded or slow. So they
Idiots.
Well,
started
then you gotta bring in Vietnam, the return in Vietnam into that as well.
Just keep it in within civil rights. Yeah, that's a bearing to the military service members, whatever. But those who were, some of them wasn't necessarily conscious enough to march and fight for civil rights stateside. They were just in the army to get a
Nah, but
better
the
life,
reason
better
why
check,
the
right?
reason why they're a
Exactly.
pivotal point in that, and reason why they're a pivotal point in that time because a lot of them came back addicted to heroin.
In that context, yeah, that would be a reamalgamating to civilian life doing trying to offer meeting an addiction to offset the rigors of war and the psychological trauma for black veteran America. But
Yeah,
here
a
on
lot of black veterans too. A lot of
they
black
had to put,
veterans might
because
be black.
the point they begin to push Haldol into your kids, convince the mothers, right? They push Haldol in the dads too, but mainly they had to work on the mother to convince her to give her kid Haldol and these other psychotropics was to curb your fighting spirit.
Of course.
It was to curb your fighting spirit, to prevent causation, to prevent initiation. And so
So
you,
you think that was only the mothers, or because at that time it was still
Don,
a
I said
lot of
only the
black.
mothers.
No,
Right. I
I'm
said
just
both
asking.
sides.
Hold
Right.
on, I know,
Yeah.
because I'm just saying at that time there was still a lot of married couples or
Right.
cohabitating couples
Facts.
or stuff
I-
like
I'm,
that.
and I'm gonna
So
touch that. I'm gonna touch that too. Right.
where you're not saying it, I hear a lot of other men say it was the mothers that allowed
No,
this to
not
happen.
solely. Not solely. She's powerful in every regard, and I feel their passion. They have a higher, desire and want and goals for their woman, and they get this little, frustrated, and they kind of go, intensify on a woman. What she does has a big part. She has a bigger part. Remember, we're simple. We're simpler. We're a simple representative in nature. Most things are feminine, so she's more involved, and from a natural nurturing standpoint, has more influence. Her energy corresponds way more broader than
Yes.
ours do, right? And so she's so powerful, to so much so she's a vessel to the spirit, to the physical world, for crying out loud. We's no
Yes.
way in hell we could. I can go more into that, but on this civil rights, on the civil fighting, whatever, they had to convince the black lady primarily. So number one, get rid of us, because I'm about to drop the marriage rates coming out of the 70s and 80s. Like we said, we were still kind of hot married, so we started cat fighting, kick ass. We were taking medication, we was fighting, kicking ass. We weren't on drugs and all, crack wasn't on the scene, so we was kicking ass. It's a lot of reasons to show how we was kicking ass. And so they kept trying to. Anyway, I want to go to. There's so many things we could touch on. So anyway,
I mean,
so
it's
so
such
when
a
you see some of
broad
the when you s-
spectrum.
we
Oh my God.
it's so, I'm telling you, this shit is so interesting. And so it's all a mental thing. It's all from a mental dynamic how it plays out on the battlefield. But my point is that notice that some of these psychotropic flyers and marketing campaigns had James Brown on that motherfucker, had soulful, had a generic James Brown, a black soulful man on that motherfucker. They feared the shit out of your ass with that goddamn fighting soul power that you had. They had to get into your head, particularly at a young age, chemically, to offset your fighting spirit. We've seen them do this before. They're doing it now at an all-time high through, some would say, marijuana, some of these legalized street drugs or whatever. And even some of the illegal ones are even fake with goddamn stepped on with all kind of shit. They elicit the same reason during this time why the world is under a change. Anyway, so back then when we was under a change, they played out the same strategy playbook in that regard. So they had to calm our ass down, which it worked. So now after this, right? So and the marriage rates begin to suffer as well. That came later too, as we've seen mainly in the early '80s, where all of these overnight divorce courts were set up literally overnight. That's all by design.
Yeah, I
Everybody,
think they because I have a study where they and it's a black woman and a black man actually that actually put this study together. Crack was one of the determining factors of the
right,
decline in the marriage rate. Also the ending of shotgun weddings played a big part
right,
in that.
right,
The
and
overnight
if
divorce
right,
court was the
right,
effect. You saw so many people getting divorced because a lot of people have been forced into marriages they never wanted.
and abortions. Don't just pop up overnight abortion things was became
Hmm.
prevalent during that time. This is
Oh,
no
that's what
coincidence,
that
guys.
WED Du Bois, bro. When I go into that with him telling Margaret Sanger, if you want to reach the
Right,
black woman with that divorce, you got to go to the pulpit.
right,
And
right,
500 pastors was paid to push
right.
this shit. Like, see, there's a lot that people don't really want to touch on and don't want to talk about because it makes us look complicit in all of this shit as well. Our
Well,
so-called quote unquote leaders.
you getting
Shit,
at the
we
same
is
thing
complicit
that
right
ain't
now.
business now, right?
He's very
What?
complicit.
I
You
said
said what, Silky?
you're getting into Planned Parenthood and eugenics, right?
You said
I
did it end
can't.
you said what you say, Silk? Did it end eugenics?
Yeah, I said Planned Parenthood and eugenics.
Yeah, yep, and Eugene. Yep, she
Yeah,
was a
they were
progenitor of
all
it.
part
Yeah.
of yeah, Walter Peckler. That's why you look at the Racial Integrity Act. Like all of these things intertwine, and people
Right.
don't look at the bigger picture
Right.
of it. They just look at the small part and
Right.
say, "Oh, well, but the bigger picture, the Racial Integrity Act, the Planned Parenthood, all of this shit
Right.
you still have people into eugenics today, like your Bill
Oh yeah.
Gates and
Big
all of
time.
these people.
Right. Yeah. And so, the eugenics, on the eugenics, thankfully you have to think from the side of the evil. That's how I get it. Most of my information comes from the evil side. So, and I turn it to good stuff. I turn it to the light, so to speak. So for me to understand now where we come from with the church, for those who are formerly Christian, you taught to do the direct opposite, what we call code 6. You do the flip negative. So
Hmm.
you learn the goody side, or you see the light, or whatever, or you told what to do. You don't have no wisdom. You just go by the logic, like like Light was saying, masculine. They take a masculine approach to teaching you, where they tell you what to do. They become a tyrant, even a god that people worship under that context of the mundane. What we call the god of the mundane, or the dead, or whatever. The biblical God's like God of the dead and all this other shit, because you just follow orders. They tell you what to do. They don't give you no wisdom and that. So they had to instill that into you to get you to agree and function on that way. And so that's what leads us to becoming a walking around automaton soulless zombie when we don't have our woman. But when they were giving us that medication in the early 70s, that was targeted mainly for your boys. That was targeted for us. A lot of even my young brother was given that medication. They said he was slow and all this, and put in a special class because they were scared to death of the fire we had under our asses coming out of the late 60s and going into the 70s. And so
Hmm.
Hollywood was on its knees. Hollywood was crashing. So they began to kind of copy and walk around and check out. So we stopped going to the movie theaters and began to make our own movie theater, own movies or whatever. That's where the black exploitation era kicked in the late 70s, in the mid 70s, all through the 70s, more or less. And so Hollywood picked that shit up and took it.
Silky, hold on real quick, Sadiq. Silky, this is not a smoke session. We actually building without chaos. So you got to be careful when we having these type of conversations, who you invite to phone calls.
Well,
Because
they're not coming to talk. They just coming to smoke.
nah, what I'm saying is when you start doing that, that's when you start having confusion and chaos and you no longer can build like we building.
Well, hopefully they supposed to be rolling and smoking and not focusing on that. It's supposed to be just a light chief session. Good
Yeah, we
old
cool.
peace
We
talk.
just
As
chopping
soon
it
as
up,
Eric hears somebody talk about somebody black, it's over.
Yeah. So yeah, we was on a tangent to actually go rise up sooner than later, particularly in the 80s. They kind of noticed that. Notice the timing of drugs coming into the community during the
Mhm.
80s and whatever, particularly where crack was concerned. Where but this is so it's very interesting. But we definitely need to, I can say so much more stuff, but we definitely need the lady but so we can provide some light and so she can receive, and then we can work together to produce understanding. You have to do that. And so right now we're dealing with, even from the Hindu context, but we're talking about the demiurge. It's all tied together. Right now we're coming out of what's called the Kali Yuga stage of the Yuga system and the Hindu system. And so she represents
Oh,
as a black.
Kali Yuga.
Yeah, yeah. So right, we look at Kali Yuga. We got to look at the symbolism on Kali's. So she's the last of the yugas. What we call the lowest state of confusion, chaos. I mentioned some things about egotism and egoism, and and not it's just a hot mess. And so you begin to worship yourself and all this shit like you a demiurge. And so she wears this necklace full of heads, symbolizing the ego and the destroyer and all of this shit. So she got a knife in her hand, standing on one dude's chest. And so that's showing you that the ego, which is typically masculine, so much you can get into to explain that. This is why she wears that. If you worship the ego, it's like you become a superman, like a super masculinist motherfucker, like the masculine version of a feminist. And this also leads into demiurge energy, why it's a male entity, a deity in that Bible. He was fearing me, I control you, do what I say or else. You don't question me at all. That's the kind of symbolism she's wearing really around her whole head or whatever. She got hands and feet all. She got like mainly heads all on the ground, men's heads on the ground, whatever, dripping with blood and shit to show you the symbolism of the damage of the era we're going through right now on the planet. That's what that represents. And so it's typically dark. Black is considered feminine. So it's considered, it actually means chaos as well. Power, but then yet chaos. That's what she represents. She's at the bottom of the, I won't go through, there's so much shit to get into, but she's at the bottom of this cycle. She sits at the bottom, and it represents also cast iron creation. Notice that the powers that the evil use are made from things that they use are actually made like cast iron or military machines and all this other shit that we relish and cherish and worship, blah, blah, blah. That's all part of that, right? And so at any rate, the divine feminine, when not held in its proper regard, is extreme. It's the most destructive force on the planet, and it's the worst thing you could imagine. This is what a lot of your haters of feminine energy focuses on. Not in my opinion, but a lot of them do, right? So they're focused on the harlot. They're focused on confusion. They're focused on the gaslighting dudes who may know a two or three a thing that's contrary to the conventional European education system. She's all you crazy, whatever. Because she got the white guy held in high regard. She got this, that, and other, something from his system held in a fairly high regard than what you got to say, right? Out of disrespect, whatever. So he goes out here and become a woman basher instead of looking at the deeper meaning and confusion regarding our collective pathology that help us
Right,
get here to
because
this day.
I think that is being taught the wrong way. Like you see
Right,
how when you're saying dark energy, this chaotic, whatever the case may
right,
be, and me as a woman, I understand that, right?
right,
But some women don't understand that, and a lot of men don't understand it. They
right,
look at what you they'll look at what you're saying as something very negative
right,
instead of knowing that it's instead of understanding that it's positive.
right. Yeah, the dark energy, and that's notice how I mentioned earlier. That's what I studied because that's where all your jewels are going to come from. It's easy to prove. There's so many examples I could name. This farmer, a smart farmer, he knows to put the seed of intent into darkness in the ground. In this
Hmm.
case, right? If he's a smart farmer, because a true pharmacy, if you don't want to stay out of the pharmacy, then a true pharmacist will put he sees what he need to do, right? No pun intended. And so he'll put his seed, male, consider themselves having seed, right? It's a lot of ways we can break this shit down, but at any rate, just to keep, for the lack of a better, he'll put that intent, a set of information that's been pollinized by both sides, no absolute male and female plant. So he renders a seed like an embryo type deal, whatever. He puts that into the womb of the earth, darkness, utter darkness. And so it comes up, whatever, head first. Like you born out of the woman. Notice you come out head first. A seed come up, a plant come up out the earth head first. Same context, different how, same what. And so, but point is though, I don't want to lose the context. Is that we got to get off. We got to nurture the women. We got to actually allow the women has to allow to be nurtured and to not look at submission as a strike or a curse, but yet men we got to qualify and be worthy of the women to submit. We have to do that. And so otherwise she may receive incorrect information or skewed information. You know what I'm saying? And so I like it. I just use myself. I'm just take what I'm saying, throw it away. If nobody don't agree, whatever, throw it away. Throw it in the garbage can on your way out the door off the phone. But I try to stay sober. I try to much as I can. I ain't perfect. I'm still learning. I do my thing here and there. But I try to fairly stay sober and try to maintain clarity so I can see. By nature, we see better. We're visual. Light energy, bright light. I always establish the premise for dark energy. Light energy is masculine. See, in the Bible, the God, so-called, is kind of for those who subscribe to that
So
context. Notice that the God, the masculine God, the entity in the Bible, the first thing he does, he calls is his initiating number one. Number one is masculine as well, and the initiation is also masculine, and also casting light is masculine. He pushes it into darkness. That's his first form of creation. The Kabbalah agrees. A lot of different ways we can explain it. And so we have to create order from chaos. Chaos is darkness. You go in a woman, go whatever that may be, and then you bring out something into the light, which is apparent, which is visual, which is able to be seen, which is upfront, which is apparent,
Making it physical.
which is definable, which makes
Yes,
it
sir.
simple, which makes it simple. Remember, we're simple minded. It makes it simple to be understood. It's not confusing. It can't be mistaken for this or that. Oh my, I'm scratching my head. What am I doing here? I don't know. I'm lacking light. So, we need to know what's going on what's in front of us. We need to know what's in front of us when it's in front of you. And so but see, the shit that I'm describing here. I'm just scratching the surface. This shit is extremely advanced. It's very advanced and it's very secretive. I don't even talk about this shit like out in the open like this. It's like very, because you could be gaslit, mocked, shamed, and all of
Hell
this.
yeah, bro.
The Christians would
Niggas don't
call that
understand.
persecution. Yeah, when you Christ like, you call it you'll be persecuted. And that's fine. I can deal with the heat, but sometimes you got to be in the mood for that shit. And so
Right.
most people would not what we call decloak ourselves. When me talking like this, I'm actually decloaking myself. I'm actually removing camouflage. I really don't do that too often, but that's what it is. When you
Yeah,
do that,
it goes back to what they said. They killed Jesus because he was speaking out, right?
right,
Going
right,
against the
It
system.
was the Christ
So,
consciousness. They killed him because he was not coming to establish religion. He was bringing consciousness.
that too. I can
speaking
speak
out
to both of
against
those
an
angles.
ability is
I can go to both of
usually
those angles.
the
Um,
person.
facts, man, facts, Silky D. The part, now the part, I'm gonna just let the female thing go for now. On the spiritual cloaking and camouflage, that is a degree. That is a point of mastery that sits on its own premise and concepts. For those who in the know what I'm talking about. And
Mhm.
so that can save your life.
The shape shifting, camouflage, all that good shit. Able to move amongst the crowd and not be noticed. What they say.
Right,
Controlling.
right. Because see, if you, and I'm talking spiritually based on spiritual light. Now, I'm gonna go to both good and bad. Now the good is, of course, it allows you to preserve yourself to move effortlessly and seamlessly through the mundane society and walk through the shadow of death, what some would probably say, and you won't fear evil and all of this. And as you cast your light, you're not really tripping about if the light you casting is comprehended in darkness or not. That's some of the benefits. The
He
negatives,
wore glasses and he
fuck,
wore his outfit. He dressed like a nerd. He looks scary. He looks, you know what I'm saying? He was a weak
right,
white dude, but he really Superman. But to move amongst the
right,
people and operate, he got the glasses
right,
on. He just a regular old guy.
right. Right. And now here's the horrible side for those who are in the for those who are in the and going through the process of actually walking through mundane society and you catching fucking hell. I'm speaking to you. If you know any truth, and this could be anybody, if you know any kind of truth that flies in the face of conventional thinking, and you know this shit sounds upside down to a backwards motherfucker, with something the Bible talks about, be wary of casting swine before the pigs and dogs. There was one instance where Jesus was asked to heal this woman who had a raven mad daughter or whatever. He called her a dog to her face, like, told her disciple, don't worry about that, I don't talk to dogs, whatever. If you don't want to be that asshole, sometimes you have to be an ass. Enlightenment deals a lot with being an asshole. They look at you, the world looks at you as an
It
asshole, and you piss
does.
a lot of people off. You say shit that just piss motherfuckers off because you're
Right.
telling
And
the
you
truth.
can't care about it.
So you have to water it down or whatever if you want, unless you just will decloak. So that brings me to my point. If you do decloak in a wrong environment, what'll happen, you'll draw all kind of what we call in the spiritual occult community unwanted attention, end quote.
Mhm.
That's putting it mildly.
Facts.
You would draw all kind of just like you would make sense, just like you would do in nature. If a rabbit decloaks in the wrong time, it'll draw attention from predators or from
Uh-huh.
wayward shit that will seek and devour. Just like the scripture, all the books talk about, spiritual books included. Or we see this out in nature. Whenever you break form or whatever, particularly when you're trying to blend in, right, you will draw attention. Now the more you decloak, the more attention you draws, which oftentimes is negative in this regard. We talking about spiritual light. And so you will be I want to go too far ahead of myself, but this is also in part to the Christians who are maybe on here or whatever, or semi believe in a similar way. Jesus told the people that he will, quote, work miracles on, if you will, end quote, that when it was often many stories depicted that when they would go back to their respective towns and he would often tell them, when you get back there, I know you're excited about the miracle. Now you can see. You're not walking in darkness no more. You actually can see, for you had eyes but you couldn't see shit. You had ears and eyes and couldn't see. Now you can see. This is what they call healing the dead and deaf, dumb, and the blind or whatever with knowledge. So now these mothers actually can see and hear, and they were so excited as the scripture was written, and they can't wait to go back and tell people. They wanted to go tell everybody. Surely you're excited because now you actually can see. You see how the world is actually truly intent. You don't look at the world as what it should be. You look at what it is
Yes.
because you have the glasses that tells you what it is, not what it should be. Only indoctrination tell you what something should be. See? And so my point is that they want to go back and tell people, said, don't tell them motherfucker shit. Don't tell them motherfucker because we gonna fuck everything. And so because of that, there was some instances where some of these people went back and told anyway. What man, that shit sound utterly goddamn ridiculous and shit. We call it fantastic. We don't use the word crazy. It just sound too fantastic for the average motherfuckers to believe. It's true, but it
Bro,
just
that
sound
nigga
too
did what?
fantastic. And so he wanted to go back there and prophesize and talk to some of these people, but you can't go back there if you come in, if you bring some insane ass shit. Talking about now you can see and all this shit. I was blind. Man, they gonna run Jesus. It was many instances where Jesus couldn't go back there and talk to them time because he already had fucked up the game or whatever. So you don't tell people certain things that you learn or whatever. That's my point. Which just goes back to spiritual camouflage. Because otherwise, if you working for Doctor or whoever, your work or whoever it is, or Bobby Hemming, you back tell a mundane motherfucker, they should listen to Bobby Hemming. Oh yeah, he said that the dragon must be understood and transmuted. They gonna look at your ass like, man, he done told your ass, don't tell you. He don't told, even though the Bible, that's why the Bible talks about dragons. All of that's easily interpreted. It's not a big deal. That's just occult symbolism, the Loch Ness monster and all of this shit. But so it takes a degree of wisdom to spiritually cloak for those who dealing with this kind of a thing. Otherwise, what'll happen, you will become judged, and the mundane will judge you. And if you don't got this proper spiritual amplitude and you don't have enough love of yourself, a lot of other shit you have forgiveness, all this, it's a lot of stuff you have to do. If you haven't done that to an nth degree, they will affect you, and rightfully so, because you're breaking divine law. Surely you must be a punished. Surely there's a price to pay for your blasphemy. You can know truth and still be blasphemous because you're telling high advanced truths to a rough, jagged ass people, letting your shit fall on jagged ears, and you think you're gonna get away with that shit? You was warned about before you studied you shouldn't do that kind of shit. So what happens with typically you'll see some cats who's brilliant in some of these insane asylums, or maybe in the hood on some medication. Some people you even see on the, some of these, some of these social media spaces. They're brilliant, right? They kind of have no what they're talking about, but the motherfucker's just off. They done got what happened. They've been waking up. There's so much things I can go into. They're waking up or whatever and begin to get egotistical with this shit. And we know for those who are subscribed to the spirit of the Ifa and other and Vodun and some we know it's a trickster spirit in this shit,
Yeah.
right? That's
Hey,
that.
that's why I be saying, bro.
If you know, you
That's why
know, right?
they be trying to answer questions that you can't answer, and that'll fuck
Right.
you
That's
up.
called the absolute. Right. You don't never answer absolute. Right. You'll go insane. Right. Right. Absolutes will drive you insane. And so there was an episode. Speaking on that, brother, you hit a good point. There's an episode of the Twilight Zone from the 1950s. I think early 60s or so. The black and white version. And so there was an episode called The Answer to Everything. I think it was something like that. I know it all or
Yeah.
something like that. Dude. And so what happened was, check it out. What happened was there was a dude who thought he knew everything in this particular small town. So what he would do, he would how he would do it, he would claim he know everything. Yeah, he go on and say, yeah, I know, I got the answer to this. Let me whisper in your ear. Let me tell you something. And so what he would do, he would actually get the people. So, oh, I want to know. He said, yeah, they would never let you hear what he said. They would just show you. He would just get in their ear and he'd just be a mud, be quiet. He'll come back. He'll look at them. They'd be like, this go crazy. He said, I know. And then they go crazy. Just go loon. They's laughing and falling all over the place. And he kept doing this throughout the town. And he said he would start having big group meetings. He would say, 10 to 15 of you guys, bring your family. We're going to meet up at this hall this week. And I want to tell you all the grand, I want to tell you all the grand secret. And they would all go insane. I think it's called the answer to everything. You're going to make me look this up. The answer to everything or whatever. He was trying to give them the absolute. That'll split your ass in half. That'll cut your ass in half, and you become self-divided. Remember, separation is false, but in insanity's context, it's true. You become realistically self-divided, right? You become separated. Separation is true in that regard. So, so you're not holistic. You're not functioning the whole sequence in that point. Due to self, there's a lot of things I can get into. But anyway, in that episode, how the episode went off was he actually got access to a radio station. He said, tune in tomorrow. He was like, tune
Oh
in tomorrow at
shit.
2 p. Dude, he about to make about 1 million motherfuckers go insane. He like, so some people had picked up on it by that time he got that famous. And so they said, oh shit, honey. So dude, they showed this one dude, the central protagonist. He was going to different people's relatives' house. Honey, turn off the radio, hurry up, turn off the radio. And he was like, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the answer there. And she was in there, she was going crazy. And they went, yeah.
Fuck yeah, you gotta find that shit.
Yeah, oh, you know what? I'm gonna look it up right now,
You
man. Cause
gotta
I can,
find
man,
that shit.
I can.
Yeah, I think partly why they go crazy is because like it's human. Like I could just say this because I've almost died a couple times type shit. Like cause bro, when you get like those answers, bro, it's like some answers you can only get in death. So if you're trying to get it in this body, it's gonna cost some. And that's bro, that's crazy. Like that's why they go insane. Like it's the human desire to not want to die, but you have to get something. So you basically gave over your essence, bro. You crazy now.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up that, trying to look up that episode of here. Yeah, when you learn something, you don't absolutely own anything. Your absolutes is false. You don't own any. What you learn? What did you learn really? What do I know? I just know a lot, maybe a little bit, and at best, whatever. And that's just putting myself up on even more, slightly up in that regard. What am I really up on? You just been given access. This shit is older than time itself. The shit that some of us have learned. This shit been around. It's gonna be around long after we go and transmute to whatever's next. If you subscribe to that,
And that's why
you
I
just
just
been
say,
given access. Yeah, you don't own nothing. You know, not absolutely.
right,
But so when you're dealing with an absolute, a cat of believe I am. This is what starts religions typically. This started particularly the profane version or the grotesque version of religion, not in its practice when it's practiced in its true divine form.
yeah, I'm already knowing.
You know. We do grotesque, spiritual concepts, mythical truths made manifest physically, which is considered grotesque. See,
And niggas trying to use the knowledge for power and control.
that's the issue why this is so secret. You have to keep it secret because you have to understand that when studying at such an advanced degree, we dissolve the difference between good and evil. And so, with that being said, it becomes very dangerous. Now we realize that information could be used for good and evil. At that point, it's not no cookie cutter hard lines, absolute difference between the two. It's more of a
Right.
fine, like the brain has a very fine difference between the two lobes. Looks like one unit at a glance, but then you look closer, it's a little bit of separation because the absolute law has to be maintained, even in the brain's anatomy. That there is two different sets of forms of thinking along the lines of gender. And so this whole, light and dark, whatever. So truth is often cast as the same what light in that in that kind of same description. There's a slight difference in terms of frequency and intention, which way you going up or down in terms of your frequency, given your intent. It's all about intent. If a person goes to court for killing 20 people, will he absolutely judge guilty? Not necessarily. Why?
Right.
He can kill 50 motherfuckers. He might be charged with 50 counts of murder. What does that mean? What are they judging? Why they even got a lawyer? Because they want to determine his intent, not the actual what they want to judge. They want to determine how you killed these people, not just what because they did. The charge is what. The what is murder times 20, right?
Right.
That don't necessarily mean anything necessarily. We need to find out why did you kill these people? Was it intentionally or was it not? But come to find out, dude was riding by. He was coming to go see his grandkids and he left early because he wasn't feeling well and had a heart attack behind the goddamn steering wheel and plowed into the Easter Day parade and killed 20 motherfuckers. Oh, not guilty.
All
Not fucking guilty. You know what I'm saying?
right.
See. But anyway, I'm gonna find that episode.
How you feel about like light and dark? Because I heard you like speaking about it and shit like that, and I know you got an in depth understanding, but I just want to know your understanding on this.
What I understand about light and dark is the end all be all. At the end of the day, we know that for those who subscribe to religion in any regard, we know that the God is everything and is nothing at the same time. So from that standpoint, we know that something is light and nothing is darkness. it's so much to say, dude. Is that's the whole key to pretty much everything.
That was
It's so
perfect.
much to say. It's so much, bro. I don't even know where to begin. It just depends on the context, with
But that was
light.
really perfect though.
Yeah, I can speak in general. Let's just say light. Light is to know. I'll just say light is to see the difference between something and another thing. Light is equivalent to differentiation. Light is equivalent to logic. Light is equivalent to getting things done. Light is equivalent to reducing something from its majesty down to its simplicity, simplest level.
Sheesh, that was
Light
deep.
indicates knowledge. Bible scriptures, religious texts talk about one have light is equivalent to knowledge. He can see, he can walk through the the chaotic nature of reality,
Facts.
trouble
Yeah,
free.
you on point, bro. We
See,
definitely
I
on
mean,
point. You on point.
I can say way more about light. Light also is simpler. It's a simple form of for those who are electromagnetic subscribing guys. I talk to Naga all the time. From an electromagnetic standpoint, light is a very simple yet almost very small. Remember, it's simple because it's a masculine phenomenon. So it offers simplicity to the infinite. It offers
Let me take them to to the stars real quick. So a dwarf star or a dwarf planet, they say when it's dying out, you
right,
know what I'm saying? That's the light going out. Is how they
right,
know.
That's the
right.
That's how they
light.
know it's true. Especially
It's
when it's
something
going into
turning
like
into
a,
nothing.
especially when nah, but even if it's going into a black hole,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like that light is gonna go from bright all the way out of there. And that's the big metaphor. Uh, once the lights go out, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Once the light go out, we heading into chaos. Now, darkness is way more you can say about darkness is, man, you've been here forever. Darkness is chaotic. It often presents realities that's not real, not physically. Light deals with physical reality. Darkness deal with something beyond nature. Light deals with nature. There's a phenomena beyond what we call what we call that gets into what we call. I'm actually going to put a book together. I don't want to give away too much. There's a book I'm writing called "The Unseen Real," key to the absolute. At any rate, so when you get into darkness, you begin to get into all. You begin into the get. You begin to see actually what the 99% of reality really look like, depending on your perspective going in, and what you're willing to learn. At any
But
rate,
the dark
darkness is
is the
considered
majority,
chaotic.
right?
What's that?
The dark is the majority, right? Or it's
The darkness is a
Yes.
profound majority. They're trying to switch it up online. We're
the
starting to see it switched around online. They're trying to flip things around. We know the psychology saying, "Oh no, you use all of your brain." No, darkness is. They say because they're using, the time. People are aware now, so they got to switch
Hmm.
shit up. They're switching the zodiac up, saying Sagittarius is like Aries. If you're born in this month, now you're not Taurus. You Leo. They're trying to fuck shit up,
Right, they is
but
tweaking.
Almost kind of like how they say the brain is encased in darkness.
right,
It is.
right. And so the brain is connected to mind, which is even disconnected from a physical reality. Some would argue. I don't want to go too
Yes,
far ahead of
sir.
myself. And so the brain is a local container of mind. Brain and mind.
So
What? Yeah, they're different differences there. The mind made manifest. You could say is a brain. Brain is like a computer, whereas the mind would be considered software. You got hardware. Brain is hardware. Mind is software. It's
The
so much to
brain
get
is the
into
receiver,
darkness.
right?
Yeah, darkness requires logic and requires interpretation so it can be reduced to understanding. This is what we have senses for, five senses, bringing
yes,
simple information. What you hear is simple. It's very straightforward. It's not all super complex.
Kind of
Right,
like pixels on a TV, putting a picture together. It takes a whole bunch of pixels to give you that image.
right. Facts. Because the absolute law,
shit.
for one, you can't.
Just like you
Right.
see atoms today, they take a
But
whole
how
lot of
bad is
people
darkness?
to see.
Facts. So darkness, we
Because
understand.
darkness absolutely also represents something beautiful because we're all born out of triple darkness.
Right now, let's get into what we actually get into what's called the transmutation aspect. At its birth, at its most rawest form, many of those deep adherents to the meditation would know that there's several layers of darkness one must go through, just like a fetus,
Hmm.
before we get to the beautiful stage where it comes into the light. You're born into the light. Now that comes to come
Yes,
into the apparent realm of the apparent.
reality.
But at its most source, state point of affairs, is very brutal and violent, very chaotic, and rightfully so. We have
Right.
to produce order or produce logic from what? From the illogical. from the imaginary, which contains the one and the zero, which contains up and down, which contains the dualistic nature of everything you can imagine. And so
Yeah.
that's oftentimes very negative. Okay, I'm about to go into negativity. Black is
Hold on, just
considered
real quick.
negative.
I would almost
Yes.
say even the duality is almost like the quantum realm. When they're talking about
That's
all these
exactly
many,
right.
Yes. Yeah.
go
Right.
ahead.
Now, positivity is considered light. Positivity is considered male by specialty, not absolutely, but by specialty. Darkness is considered feminine and negativity as well, not absolutely, but by specialty. So thus her organs are inverted because of such. You don't see the unseen real because we're dealing with the unseen. And so the woman is in her mind and head all the time as a result versus the male. We're more visual for that very reason,
I
right?
kind of disagree. I disagree with that
And
a
so
lot.
and so the darkness, right? When the male get with
What
the
disagree
female, or
with
he
that?
get with the dark aspect, he is able to bring that which is unseen or that which is out of utter imagination through love or
Yes.
whatever, depending on the intent.
Yeah.
Like some call it
What
making
he's
love.
saying is deep. He
Oh,
just he
yes,
making
man,
it simple.
I'm trying not to go ahead of myself. It's extremely advanced, and
Nah,
so we
I
bring
mean, I'm
down from
agreeing
the
with most
we
of what he's saying, but there's another perspective of
yeah,
it.
for sure. But it's fun. Just
Yes.
walk with me now. As we dive into the triple darkness or the negative, we bring it forward, which brings it into the light. I'm gonna repeat that. We take the negative through what's called the highest order of the ancient Kemetic orders, called alchemy. Alchemy is considered the high art of the high priest, which is considered the royal art of alchemy. They transmute the negative to the positive. Now, that's key. Now, to destroy or destruction, we go from light to darkness. To produce life, we go from darkness to light. It goes back and forth like the Ouroboros snake, self-eating itself
Mhm.
as the wheels of creation that ever spin at the time and more. And so it's not me saying this, it's just how I understand nature in terms of where light and darkness is concerned. The subconscious is considered feminine, just like the earth. The earth is full of darkness. When you put your head, if you were to bury your head like an ostrich, all you're going to see is darkness because it's feminine. But when I say that, it's negative. So we need to bring the herbs and we're going to build a car and all the nutrients are all there. Surely it is. In the subconscious, everything's there. So you bring it out to the apparent based on your wisdom and understanding and the submission of the soil, you bring it out. Now, if you're fighting with the soil, now the soil's hard as hell. Let's say you go to a hard hit ass soil. You try to farm something in Antarctica or some shit. Let's say your wisdom got you trying to plant a corn plant in Antarctica. Say you foolish like that. What's going to happen if you got a foolish curse between you and the male and female modality in that regard? You're going to have a war with that soil. You got a fucked up ass seed or plant if you get anything at all. That's likened to piss poor wisdom or to a fight, or argument between both sides, right? She's not gonna, you can't really give her, you're not really smart, so she ain't gonna really receive. She hardened or whatever, and you foolish as hell. You trying to plant your, we may have a good intent. You trying to plant it into the wrong soil. You a fool ass fool. So you gonna get you a fucking curse. You probably get a curse like a motherfucker. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You gonna get it, and rightfully so. That's what you get. You're not a smart farmer if that's what you call yourself. So this is not bad or negative or a strike or to disparage anybody. This is why the feminine energy is more advanced than we are, because I outlined that the light comes out of the dark, much like a spirit or a fetus or as many other things we could outline. This is just how it works. And so darkness is infinite. See, light comes out of the dark, and light is infinite as well, as long as it's maintained connection, no separation, and no, it don't become an absolute. Come into the light world, you think you stand on your own, whatever. You never disconnect yourself from the woman. It's like cutting your subconscious, like cutting the conscious aspect of your mind off from the subconscious. Now you become schizophrenic. This is what leads people into insanity. Or this will lead you to having piss poor relationships for those overly masculine men who think the
Y'all
woman
getting
is
brought up
foolish, who
right.
thinks she's this, and she thinks she's soft, she can be pushed around, whatever, right? She thinks she's done, whatever. And this is for the women who think they become accustomed to white rule and white knowledge and turn like Mary turned on her own child, or Offset turned on Hiru. She turns on her own son and eats him up. She takes his books and throw it all up the tears, destroy knowledge. She literally consumes him. That's what wayward
Like
feminine energy
oh,
do. And so it eats up. It's like into a beast. It eats up with a bottomless pit phenomena equated to the subconscious with no limit. Which is would notice the hellfire in the abyss also is unlimited in the like fashion.
You talking about
The
the serpent,
the
the
abyss,
snake?
the abyss is actually feminine, right? I'm getting into some heavy shit. And so the serpent could be good or bad, just depend on the intent. If you're dealing with enlightenment, it's good. If you're dealing with wickedness or whatever, we've met some sneaky snakes, sidewinding motherfuckers. It depends on the intent.
I
It
don't
depends
know
how they use it, what they know.
either.
Right. It just
That's why
depends.
we put this shit in stories.
Right, right. And it's cloaked and hidden for this very reason so it don't get destroyed and misconstrued. See, foods destroy high truth and advanced truths. We've seen it happen many times. You've seen the Christian phenomena, the Gnostics, and some of those other alternative secret societies, if you will, as it were, of that day, the Nazarenes and Essenes and others, the Sadducee and the Pharisee and all these other guys. They all are mainly underground. Someone became corrupt later on. It became, they latched on the brutal world from a physical standpoint out in the broad daylight. They weren't secretive. That's your Sadducee and Pharisee, which knows secret information as well. They were in charge. They became wicked, what we call anti-illuminators or Illuminati. Ill, to undo. Ill
Yeah.
mean undo. Illuminati, illumination mean light. Illuminate mean to enlighten. So the people that run everything are called unenlighteners. And so I don't want to go too far ahead of myself. I keep saying this.
Yeah.
This is very fucking interesting. So when you get into unillumination, we get into darkness. Now you begin to become farmed out, likened to a low feminine aspect. So what we see, I'll just say this, and I'll give a room to somebody else. What we see in this regard, to wrap this up nicely, is that the planet, in that regard, when the female is separated from the male in its most high righteous form, in my opinion, we begin to see things run like a farm. The planet, in its most lower automaton state of affairs, or even its cattle slavery, is ran like a farm.
Exactly.
Look at cattle slavery. The
Listen,
men was
brother, I know
locked
you
up.
trying to get up out of here, but we finna keep you here, bro. Cause I got some. I'm finna pick
But
your
yet
brain some more too.
man, you paid a fucking price because we know most of the churches have mostly 60 to 70% female members for the very same reason. Most of your animals on any farm is mostly female animals, whether it be cows, goat, or pigs or whatever, because they can produce their babies, which the male energy, the estrogen, don't fight back like we do. We rebuke, because of a different nature, we rebuke and buck the system. And so we become a problem for said phenomena, authority figure, whether we find it on the farm or politically or whatever, in any regard, particularly where the black reality is concerned. So they lock us up. So you see the bulls and the male goats or whatever, particularly the bull locked up for that very reason. Like you see us locked up in the community in the same similar fashion, following in the same
Yeah.
logic.
Yeah.
So the
That's what you
females, they're more massive, they're more numerous, right? So it's not that many of us, even on the farm. So he can go out to release a bull, he can fertilize 20 motherfuckers. It got to have 50 damn babies. That's by design. That's how evil works, right? And so on that farm tip, so they let her parlay and roam the farm, right? And give her a false sense of authority, false sense of being taken care of. Surely the farmer provides everything you need, like a welfare system, like a social system, right? Family services system. We've seen that. They go by different names. We're familiar with that modality for those who's brought up in those environments. At any rate, so when it's time to mate, they let the bull out to go do his thing, then lock his ass back up like they do us. Now, at the end of the day, women who support that, who think that's way, at least they giving us something. You ain't gave us shit, okay. Well, do something about it if you think we shouldn't be. Okay. When you go in the supermarket, all you see in them supermarket frozen meat department is mainly the women and kids. Notice you don't see many male animals being sold for meat consumption. They got chicken and eggs in that motherfucker for that very reason.
and just like you kind of touching on,
That's what
like it's
almost
crazy
every animal
how
is
you
almost a
talk
lady and
about
kid because
it.
of that, right? You don't
It's
see you
crazy how
don't,
you
you don't see
talk about
roosters being
like
made fried chicken out of roosters, right? Or you see the bull in there being made steaks out of. It's the lady. She's the juicy fruit. She's the power, but to feed not only good but evil as well. See, and they cater to that particular lower aspect of her to turn her against us, to become our own personal destructive black hole. And so she sucks in all. For the black is also feminine, remember? So it don't let light escape much. It sucks even light into that motherfucker. It's a consuming beast. The black hole is a cosmic version of the beast on its most worst level. And so it's very powerful. Many of those who understand some jumping into the scientific community now. The black hole particularly is one of some say that this universe, our universe is centered by a supermassive black hole for those who subscribe to that or whatever. And so it's very strong for obvious reasons. And nothing really escapes. It's considered like it's a form of like magnetism, if you will, in that way. Something really it pulls you in, pulling you towards you is considered feminine, put in a way it's like mass. But yeah, very interesting. So the community in the hood was ran much like a farm. Cattle slavery was ran like that. Hmm.
But do you ever like? My thing
That
is
shit get
that
deep, twin.
yeah, it does get deep, but it gets deeper because at some point the man has to take accountability and responsibility for them also
Right.
um falling into it, right? Leaving
Right.
your women to fend for themselves,
Right.
leaving your women to have to fend for themselves, not only themselves but their children as well.
Right.
And so
And right. Yeah. Right.
now that creates a hardened, type of woman
Right.
because everything is left on her shoulders.
We just glad you
Right.
agree with
And
us,
Right.
because
man.
and, and
We glad
because
you agree
and
with
be,
us.
hold on, Silky. And because of that, the woman is getting the blame of shit, like the bulk of shit that's
Right.
happening because
Right.
she was left alone to do these things.
Yeah.
So then So it's
So we
not us
right.
turning against, it's not us literally turning against you guys. It's women developing survival tactics.
Right. To understand this too, I probably should mention some of the specialties on the feminine nature. The feminine nature desires security and safety. Okay, and so any good farmer, be it of the slave variety farmer or the slave overseer or the farmer, old McDonald had a farm variety of farmer, they provide safety and security to the female inhabitants and of a human, animal, whatever variety. We're depending on what kind of farm you're on. So this is important to particularly to female, not to admit I'm going into this male energy is a little different, but I'm talking about female energy. The female energy prefers this because it's just the way nature works from that perspective. And with that regard, with that said, that can be perverted. And so from the recipient to the provider, those that provide and to invert and to pervert that particular part of native feminine nature, they can create a construct for you to allow you to sit up on that motherfucker. You have all kinds of kids and shit to provide a labor and above all, provide your children as a
Yeah,
future
man.
investment to perpetuate this wicked machine to keep producing eggs and shit at the whim of the farmer. Now, when you get sick or whatever, when you need food and when you need to be defended or whatever, if you get sick, if you get kind of rambunctious, then they're gonna line your ass up. Like they line up to some of them cows or pigs when they get a little rambunctious. They'll get some order a big ass vat of medicine and they'll line them up at the barn, open the door. Ever see them movie, them clips and them videos where you see the barn, the animals going in there getting inoculated with all kind of shit, antibiotics and shit. That's your pandemic. Motherfuckers trying to wake up, so they lining niggas up at the door, at the barn, whatever. It's for those who would believe it. And so on a farm, they inoculate your ass. They give you vaccinations and shit. And if you die on that motherfucker, notice you get buried on the farm. You go to any farm, you got a little graveyard way off in the corner, way off in the corner somewhere and shit, right? And if you get married on that motherfucker, they got a little marriage ceremony over here to the far right. If you go around the corner right there, you see over there. This is what we marry niggas over there. Right? This is what we marry niggas. And if they have now, some of them get pregnant. Now, if you get pregnant, we're gonna take you all the way around over here, right over there. That's the build. It's funny, but it's
That
dead
shit.
serious, man.
That
It's
shit
deadly
gets
serious.
into what you talked about with this Illuminati and well, basically undoing the
Ill,
light, undoing the
right?
knowledge.
The prefix
They
ill,
want to
right?
do that for a reason because
Facts,
they have quote unquote light to project to have you be the fuel to create it.
right? That's you get into an interesting thing. When we deal with what is and what is, we have to understand we're dealing with what isn't. Uh, with a piss poor intent, we have to get. That's what we get into what we call evil, and we have to discuss something called the casting of what we call false light. So you got real light, you got authentic light, you got false light, got fake. And so they'll perpetuate a reality that's subscribed by your five senses. Here they
Mhm.
give you something that you can worship, right? Some regard. It don't have to be of religion. Your religion could be money, cars, women, men, prestige. your degree for those who have degrees. It could be your house, your car, whatever, or what, or all of the above, right? And so these things we find out is a it's a lot like I say about that stuff, man. But I'm trying to make the words real thin as possible. I'll say it this way: that which feeds when the female energy is being pimped in a very low way to all bring us into a abyss kind of a setting where we become self-defeating and satisfied for short-term gratification, then that's a desire-based, a piss poor desire, which is which is contained by the five senses: hearing,
Yes,
taste,
it's
touch.
called the sixth
All right.
sense, creative imagination and creative intelligence. Peace to the
On a
room.
low level, right? On a low, yeah, because it can be high as
It's
well, right? No, absolute,
subconscious,
right, right. And based on the knowledge,
mentalism.
right, right. Your knowledge
That's when your
prescribes the right.
cerebellum and basically your abdul oblongata is basically not functioning at the highest formation for your body because the brain grew the body and it controls it.
Yeah. So
Hey, so dude,
what's up?
I gotta say this to you, brother.
What's up?
You gotta come. You gotta some of this stuff. You gotta come in a more layman's term with it. And I know it's not that easy because you
Right,
understand it from a different
right.
perspective. But what happens is when you start talking this male female energy, people who don't understand it are automatically gonna take it as if you're saying it's the woman's fault for everything. No, and
I
you
got
know
you
I'm
right.
telling the
It's all
truth.
based on what we understand. We all hearing something different right now. Everybody got different steps of hearing, right? And
No,
some
but
may
I'm
hear it
not
that
even
way,
talking about. I think most
right?
people on this phone understand that you're not saying it's the woman's fault, right? But
Right,
when you have other people that hear this,
right.
that's what they're going to hear. See, I told you it was the bitch's fault.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's why it's kept secret. That's why this stuff is talked about really in small circles like this, or even smaller,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit bigger. But it's mainly small. The God of the few is where it's at. The God of the many, as the books talk about, is the beast. Pretty much, you don't teach enlightenment to the many, and that's where the matrix lives in the crowd. The crowd is the matrix, which gets into the
Yep.
demiurge phenomenon. We can get into that too if you guys want to. But yeah, the you're right. You're right, Light. Yep. So you're right.
Because it's
I
it's
think
a,
it's just about
it's
understanding.
a bigger it's a bigger picture, and when you're dealing with, because most of the people are at an 85%, right?
Right.
So they're not going to even understand it. The 10% that's going to understand it is going to sit back and be like, I'm not saying nothing. And then you have the 5% that wants to scream it from the top of their lungs.
Well, we may not screen. It's more secretive. It's more or less the smart one. It depends on what degree the smart one that the 5% guy have. Typically he'll walk among you, won't even know him. You won't even know his name, won't even know much about him because he's obviously been studying the key of all mysteries. So surely he will walk around in the air of mysteriousness himself, like under to like, no separation. So this is why they seem strange or mysterious or whatever. Scriptures talk all about that. Those kind of individuals. They don't really we speak. They'll sometimes say a little something if they feel welcome or if you ask. They may say a little something, but we don't try to. Nobody try to convert nobody. This ain't really hardcore religion, zombie religion.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. This is not that. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. So with that being
Yeah,
said, we don't worry about what the swine say. We don't worry about that's what a lot of books talk about, the swine and the dog. We don't worry about what the automaton thinks. The battle is
right.
not
That's what
even
we
with the
talking
automaton.
about.
The battle is not even with the automaton. It's with the
The
five. It's with
battle
the
was
so-called
within.
5% ride, because we're the juicy fruit. We're the ones that the world's really pissed off of. That's who the 10% are after, because they know we have the intent
The
to wake
ones
up
that's
the
really woke, like, listen, man, I
right,
don't care about the peanut gallery because I let my
right.
nuts hang.
Where they want to go. They know the zombie. They already got the zombie. They're not a threat. We know that. We know it from a point of view of this physics. The faster you travel, the more what increases resistance force.
Yes,
So
resistance force, which is basically cause and effect, something for something, equal opposite
so
exchange.
That's
so
why
with
you
a
gotta
fight
balance
back,
it,
yeah, it's,
my
it's a
brother.
deeper challenge. Yep. So. Yeah,
The
but
more,
I,
the
yeah.
more, the more you try to do positive, is more chaotic negative forces.
Well,
That's
It's
yeah,
just
balance.
like the Matrix. The
I
more
think
Neo
I
tried
just
to
think
be
my
Neo,
biggest fear.
more Mrs. Smith popped up.
I think for
right.
me, like my biggest
What did
fear
Neo
is
have
that
to do?
in the situation that we're in, again, Sadiq, I love talking on this level because I can't really have these conversations with a lot of people. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I
It's
start
by
trying to have
design.
these conversations with a lot of people, it becomes, again, like you said, chaos.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
know. Yeah. You
And
by
know.
design.
the first thing is, oh, you're a woman, you don't know. Oh, but I know.
Right.
Not only do I know, I live in it. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like we just got this. It is so sad that this information can't really be shared amongst the masses
You
because
hell no.
To the
yeah,
point
They'll
of that,
destroy your
where does
ass.
that mindset
They'll
come
tear, they'll
from?
burn up all your books. They'll kill all your people that's with you down there. Man, the people have to learn this stuff. They go underground, and so that's the guy, the 10%. What makes them so powerful is the information they have. What makes them so powerful is they keep it a secret. The secret societies. This is why they keep it a
hmm
secret. Everyone say, man, why, man? Why they going? Why, I mean, even people that had a righteous intent. Why they keep the stuff secret? Why the evil guy, particularly because
They don't
hell,
want us to know,
because
man.
right,
and
because
then
man,
and
shit,
then then you have the few that leak the information, right? Because they don't really want to be intertwined in that. They don't want to really be in these spaces. They don't
right,
really want.
right,
And
right.
then when they leak it, now people are getting a hold of the information and they're actually going a little deeper. And it's not only physical; it's also spiritual. You know
Facts.
what I mean? And then you got
Gang,
people that'll be like, "Well, if it was such a secret, how do you know about it?"
I'm gonna be working
Right.
with civil,
Because guess
so
what?
I'm gonna tell you it's our
There's
job
some
They just
people that
happen.
walk.
educate the masses.
Right. They just happen to tell you. So by the time, most of the time you walk past these motherfuckers, it's not a whole lot of these motherfuckers around, but the few that is in society, you will never find out. They work with you.
Listen,
They
I
shop
got a
with you at the
story to
supermarkets.
tell.
You know,
There was this
or they
white
may be in some of
man.
you guys' family as a weirdo, the strange auntie
hmm
Linda or whatever. That motherfucker's not strange and weird. Them the motherfuckers you supposed to go talk to.
Yeah, listen, there's this man, right? He was running for mayor here some years back when de Blasio first ran.
Okay.
And I just was because he lived in the Graham Court building. Most of y'all know that as the Carter from New Jack City, right? It's right here
Right.
up the block. So we were just talking one morning, and he was on his way to a meeting, and we just was talking. We was talking, and before he walked away from me, he said, "Do me a favor." I said, "What's up?" He said, "Whatever computers you have or phone devices, get rid of that." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "You know too much, and you will be the one of the first people that they come and get because you know too much." And then I
Right.
would see him from time to time, and hey, hey. And one day I seen him, he was like, "Hey, I'm off to a big meeting. Wish me luck." Blah blah blah. The next time I saw this man was walking around like he was out of his mind, chewing black charcoal. I said
Really.
something happened to him at that meeting. They did something to him.
Right.
This was an otherwise sane person. Now
Right.
he's walking around here like he's out of his mind,
Right.
and
Maybe
he's
that nigga smoke
always
meth.
chewing black
He didn't learn the
charcoal.
he didn't do. I don't know. I can't say absolutely. I wouldn't. But he didn't. Sound like probably. I've seen this happen to some similar people. Some would even compare it to perhaps even Kanye to a degree.
Uh,
If you say the wrong, if you're not cloaking, if you're not cloaking adequately, if you didn't master that degree, particularly where cloak is concerned, for those who are aware and know what I'm talking about, then
hmm
man, you gonna learn. You run the risk of learning the hard way. I don't care how smart you
don't
are.
get involved with them
And
people.
that's the crazy part because for this man to tell me to do these certain things, right?
Right.
You didn't understand that you knew too much as well.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm telling
Possessive
you, like,
to
I
the
got
fleet.
family members right now that be like, yo, I used to think you were crazy. Like, my cousin hit me during COVID, was like, yo, I'm not even gonna lie. I wanna apologize to you. He said, because I used to think you were crazy. He said, but yo,
Right.
I'm seeing everything that you was talking about 10 years ago.
Mm.
And
Man,
I'm like, yeah. And he used to say all the time, he used to be like, you and DMX, something wrong with y'all, because they all grew up together. And he used to be like, y'all, something wrong with y'all. Y'all always talking this shit. He said, but then one day, like I said, he called me and said, yo, I see. I see. He's
Wow.
like, I don't really want to talk to you about it. He said, but I apologize because I really just used to think y'all was crazy. He was like, but you're not. And I was like, all right, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, I'm the crazy family member.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, we all
I'm
consider
definitely
probably crazy on this call. Yeah,
this
pretty
black
much.
sheep. Black
Black
sheep
sheep of
family.
each family, respective family,
I'm
pretty
the
much.
crazy.
Right.
I'm the crazy
Man,
family
the
member.
original man. I'll be the original black sheep, man.
Like
Yeah,
my
I'm that.
sister used to sing, right? My sister used to sing. She was around all the top producers. Like I'm talking about any industry party we needed to be in, we was there, right? We could get in. We didn't stand on no lines. We didn't do none of that. And she was talking to, I don't know if y'all know him by D. Angeletti or the Mad Rapper.
The mad
And one
rapper,
day,
yeah.
yeah, one day she was talking to him, and she came home. She said, I had a long conversation with Angeletti. So I'm like, what's up? She said, I was just telling him some of the things that you was talking to me and that you talk about. And then he said to my sister, your sister is 100% right. And I'm gonna tell you this: if you ever really take this music shit serious, you need to keep her close to you because she's gonna be the first one they try to get away from you.
Right. Right. Well, that's a good, interesting topic to touch on. For those who watch, like myself, I can appreciate a good scary movie, be it a zombie movie, or a demon movie, or what's the other one, a vampire movie, or whatever. They show you a lot of how this shit work in a lot of the movies. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? It's not just it's there for your solely for your entertainment. Absolutely, you have to ask yourself as
That's
you begin
part
to
of the
wake up.
deal.
Right. Yeah. You ask yourself part of the idea. You do ask yourself, why are they showing me this? Why are they entertaining me like this? That's how we should be asking ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And enjoy it. No
Exactly.
absolute right. No absolute. But but my point is that for those who lived out this stuff out as well, I've been in similar situations. And with regard to the movie, if a person has been targeted spiritually to be fed upon energetically, if they have
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that can defeat that is love, because we're dealing with the female
Mm-hmm.
modality, which is primarily an emotional deal, which is primarily feminine. At the end of the day, it's an emotional phenomenon, strongest emotional phenomenon that there is. Most men kind of lack love because they're disconnected from that part of their lives for whatever reason. They need more love in their hearts. Even that sin spiritually, even for those who subscribe to Kundalini, it's the fourth chakra which you got to be judged and pass your test on, the heart chakra, before you go into the
Mm-hmm.
above three chakras, which deals with the spiritual world. The lower three is the physical world. You cross over through the heart.
Mm-hmm.
If you deem to cross over, depending on your condition, of your heart, then you go up to the upper three, which is this with the ascension process. So they'll try to get them people from around you, and they will. And so the energies or through people, whatever, will target those people. You see this play out in movies all the time. The Exorcist, Evil Dead, and shit.
Mm-hmm.
What's it's a few The Ring and all this other shit. And so they'll try to, and a few and a whole lot of others. They got to try to get them away from you because you'll protect them and I mean, we don't allow them to be fed upon. And the people you were referring to that's targeted probably been through something. Evil feeds
Mm-hmm.
on unresolved issues. For those who are on here with unresolved
Mm-hmm.
issues, let me tell you this: evil primarily works through unresolved issues. What allow you
Mm-hmm.
to be abused, or if you have been abused or will be abused, is typically through unresolved issues. In
Mm-hmm. That's
every
what they
horror
use.
movie, you got issues. In every demonic movie, the people that's possessed are oftentimes going through. You've seen it. You know what I'm saying? You've seen Damien, Omen 2 and Omen 3.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it. You've seen the little kid who has been abused as a kid. They may
I
not
hate
show you
that
that in the
movie.
movie. Yeah, they ain't gonna show him getting abused in the movie, perhaps. They had to show you that he's just fucking withdrawn and shit. It's a quiet ass kid that don't play with nobody. Clearly, he has some kind of unresolved issues, and so he's susceptible for what we call in the cult community spiritual attack. And
Yeah.
so it's so much that's a whole nother thing to get into, man. Shit. It's so much to say, but you have to be isolated. And also for those as well, if somebody's living on here extremely isolated, you spend a lot of time on your own. Yeah, you learned a little thing, you learned a little something, something, but you find that it separated you from people more than allowed you to fit in the loving way. If you let fear lead you, you're supposed to let love guide you, not fear. It has you
Mm-hmm.
have you learned something that separated you? Remember, separation is false. Have you learned something that makes separation true? I ain't talking about the hermit code that we oftentimes is a necessary step towards enlightenment. You do have to separate, but not absolutely, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you have some. I've seen people live like that. They learned a little too much where they feel like they don't belong, And see, and the Kabbalah gets into that, where it talks about those who climb up the tree of life too fast. You better not climb up too fast, or you may run the risk of your feet floating off the ground. And you go up too far, you'll float away. You like you become what's called
I feel
the
like
fields of schizophrenia, disconnected.
we have a bunch of children that were born that high, that spiritually elevated.
Yeah,
And they try to make them out to be the, like you said, the bipolar or the schizophrenic or
right.
whatever, because they were born on that higher spiritual level. And
Well, yeah,
we're starting to see them being born more and more.
yeah,
As
yeah,
COVID did
yeah.
something with these children are, and now what they're trying to do is they're trying to deem it as autism, right? They're saying that these children are being born on such a high level of the spectrum of autism that, oh yeah, we're not going to need to teach them anything, they're going to be able to teach us. But they're hiding it under autism. But what we understand, those of us like myself and a couple of us on this phone, what we understand is that it's their children are being born at a higher spiritual level.
Yeah, you know, yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, most would arguably agree to some regard that the time of change, the evil factors know about that. Evil factors, we've seen it how the so-called unfold in the Bible as they would tell it. They don't tell it this way, you know. The hidden spiritual system discuss that stuff backwards compared to how it's taught to the masses. And so when the secret society, when it's interesting enough, when the Sadducee, I mentioned them earlier, the Sadducee and the Pharisee, they're actually students of the secret societies made
Mm-hmm.
public. You know, that's part of the team. They were considered cast off as the 10%er. The 5%er was your learned in secrecy and has the righteous intent to help wake up the automaton. Now, the funny thing about it, the
Mm-hmm.
automaton don't know who the masters are or who the savior is. They're an
Mm-hmm.
automaton. They're a zombie. They don't know who's actually making the world evil and suppressing us, putting all this fucked up food out here and TV program and all this other shit. And they don't know who would actually help them come up out of that state. The Christians, the churches that teach when Jesus do return, you won't even know who he is, even if you walk. You probably put him on the cross again and shit. Right? Crucify his ass again. So quarter on. I'm just
I,
riding the
I
conventional timeline. I'm just making a point just to, use
I
the church
believe
time.
a lot of people are
But
going to fall for Project Bluebeam.
facts. But my
A
point
lot
is
of
that
people are going to fall for
facts.
that.
Facts. But they're doing some of
That's
it
false
now.
for
But
what?
yeah, they but now on the false Jesus thing is that the pseudocy. Notice Jesus. Those who understand his background, so called as his when they mention the word the scenes and all of this, that was a secret societies back in the day. And this is
Hmm.
also why the Sadducee and Pharisee knew who he was, so to speak, quote unquote, and he knew who they
Can
were. They
can
knew
we
the
can
same
we take it a
information.
step further?
Very interesting. Yeah.
Can we take it a step further? These are your leading families, changing
Facts.
names throughout time.
Facts. Facts.
These are ancient families.
Facts. They have information that's very Christ-like. And so
Hmm.
that's how they know what the Christ would be when it makes its debut on the scene, typically. Now, typically, that's dealing with enlightenment and light and teaching. So that's going to probably be a male entity. This is why typically when you see messianic figures in most religions, it's casted as male for that very reason. Light is mainly masculine. Notice that every time you see a so-called prophet or a so-called central religious figure, they always have what behind their heads on almost every picture? The sun. The sun is considered masculine.
Hmm.
I can go on and on and on. We've been on this bitch all night. But my point is that
Ooh, baby.
um yeah, it's so much. This stuff is so much to say, but I'll just leave it there for now. I think I said enough. I'm gonna fall in the background and shut up.
Nah,
Let you guys take it.
you know
Well,
me. I'm not gonna let you stop.
I got a lot more I
Nah,
can say.
but
It's a
you know
lot of
what? And
shit.
this is the
Yeah.
thing. This is where you start to, like, when this information, right? You start to be
Right.
able to weed through the information. The information, you are able to chew the meat and spit out the bones. You're able to know that they're lying at certain things. You're able to know, and then where you may not even be able to explain it, so people around you think you're crazy or you're pseudo, what they like to call pseudo,
Right. Right.
because you know these things. And a lot of times, if you're not tapped in or you're not tuned in and you don't know who you are, you don't even understand how you know these things.
Now that's where you have to be careful. The trickster spirit, the Ifa system, and the Vodou
Mm-hmm.
spirit systems all talk about this. Others and others, that there seem to be a trickster representation in every one of
Of
these
course.
spiritual systems. And so
Mm-hmm.
the trickster spirit stands for a few things.
I'm a
One,
trickster, better.
That's what they
I'm a
call Papa
trickster too.
Legba, a
right,
trickster.
right, man. What tear your ass up? And so you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to kind of put things out there to kind of ward that off and to be on this good side. You don't isolate and get rid. Don't try like a treat it like it's a quote unquote Satan or whatever.
No, you
But you
don't.
do. Yeah, you just kind of just acknowledge its presence, right? And you just and maintain a good relationship with it, so to speak. So not to fall under its it can be somewhat benevolent or and malevolent rather, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to ward that off obviously, so you can somehow proceed and cross over in a fair seeming way. Otherwise, the Kabbalah and other systems in the Ifa system, as well as the Voodoo Baudin system, talks about one who will seek false light. I mentioned that earlier about the seeking of light, but you end up subscribing to false light.
Mm-hmm.
If you in the Kabbalah system in mystical Jewish systems, we know that there's also a tree of death that nobody
Yep.
hardly ever talks about. They focus on the tree of life and the light. When we say the jewels are actually dark, there's a dark tree. There's a dark zodiac. No problem to talk about that. There's a zodiac. You got the dark, shadowy zodiac. That they talk about the signs in just as real context, but it deals with the not so lit aspects of all of our personalities for those who subscribe to the
Facts.
zodiac. But the shadow of the tree of death takes you from those spiritual contexts, like the Queen said earlier. Some people, kids are being born at a higher rate. That's spiritually attuned, star child, rainbow seeds, all this other stuff and
Mm-hmm.
empaths and all this other stuff coming down during this critical time on the planet. Some even say that we're being watched almost like a Star Wars fucking goddamn Super Bowl by other
Yep.
species and so forth. So much, that's why they depict that in
Yeah,
Star
bro.
Wars. If you notice
You
that,
in the game,
right?
bro. This is 1 in a million, bro.
It's just it's so much, but on the but so we deal with the tree. I'm gonna and then I'm gonna be quiet after this. Okay, well, the tree of death. The tree of death deals with carnality, physicality. It deals with what's called the fallen state, and so all of your ascended symbolism actually becomes inverted. It symbolizes the tree of death called Kliproth, or the Kliprot. It's spelled with a Q, sometimes it's spelled with a K. And so this tree represents anti-enlightenment. This is the key modality of what the illuminaries use, actually, more or less, to trick you. And so this is also the trickster spirit logic can also follow to some degree on this fallen tree, or this reverse tree, or upside down tree, which is
Mm-hmm.
called also Sheol or Sheol. You hear the Jehovah's Witness talk about this, Jews talk about da. There's a lot of shit to get into, but at any rate, it's more or less called the Sheol, pretty much, because your ass is gonna be hollow as fuck spiritually if you think worship backwards or carnality. And so you go into so all of your Sephiroth on your upright, well-known tree has take on inverted properties. On each Sephiroth has different opposite names. It's like greed on one branch and there's lust on the, that shit take on a hideous meaning and shit, self-loathing and all this other kind of shit. And so that's what gets you falling. But the point is, the reason to bring all of that up is that that you fall into false light and it begins to so it gives you what you're looking for. Here's the beast, the desire-based beast. Here's Kali Yuga, if you will.
Illuminati.
Here's the feminine, here's the lower feminine code that's gonna appease your desire to make you
Yeah, but
quote
I'm
unquote
talking about
quote
something.
unquote make you
Yeah.
come, if you will, mentally. So you because you why you started off with the righteous intent, right? Some people we know some people like you just said, dude was what brilliant, smart with it, came out that motherfucker totally gone. And so he was okay, but on that fallen tree, he was self-worshiping different aspects of himself. That tree goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives you got wisdom, but it gives you foolishness. You get looking for truth, it give you your truth becomes so you become so arrogant in your truth that your truth become outright lies, and wisdom become wickedness, and knowledge becomes like hate. No, everything flips on its head, but yet you still feel enlightened. See, this is the trick. This is the
That
trick.
shit get deep.
Yeah, that's
This
the
is a fucking
trickster.
trick. And so it
But
feels
when you
good. At
align
the
with
deeper you
those,
go, it begins to feel
the
good. You
way
falling
the way
deeper.
you
You'll
have to
never get out that shit.
align, you have to align, you have to
Facts.
align.
That's on
And
the
when
upper tree.
you
That's the upper
do,
side.
yeah,
Right.
but when you do,
In that
like
pit,
I said, these things become known to you.
at least that's the intent, right? Now these that's falling away, it becomes self. They become we say we could name a few people that we hear these chats, man. I hate to. I don't know. I go ahead and mention one dude. I can't help it. That's my bro, though, man. That's my bro. Hey, that's a brother at the end of the day. That's all I'm saying. He's still my family. It's my bro, Christ Michael.
Oh God,
Yeah,
you
a
really
lot of
you
some
just
of what he says it makes sense, but you can tell it sounds like the trickster got to him. To me, in my personal
mm-hmm.
opinion,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
But this is why a lot of times I don't even really talk because, baby, if I get to talking, like, and I get where you be saying I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just be quiet. Let me not,
right. You'll lose the people
you
if you go
know.
too far too fast. You begin to lose the ear of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a sin. That's like a strike. That's a well, you go for as far as the people want you to go, and then you kind of halt when they want you to halt. You don't, you kind of, you're not really, you don't just beat the people over the head. And shit. Like religion, they beat your ass all across the head, string you up. You know what? Read what did Mark say? What did Thomas say? Read the book of Peter and
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, we beat you up, whatever. But we ain't got
But I
time for
just
that.
be listening to those that think they know it all. And you're sitting, and I'm just sitting back here like you have no fucking idea what you're
Right,
talking
right,
about.
right. Facts, facts.
I just really just sit back and say that. I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
Yeah, the absolutes are false. We don't know anything. Everything just in dynamic flux at all times. Even as we sit here, the soul is undergoing a constant flux, as like in the flame on a candle. And so that flame never assumes the same flicker rate of flicker or light intensity at any given moment, ever. See, likened to the spirit or the soul of a person. See, you know. Each time you get up, I can just take a hair, and then we be on here for all. I can actually talk about a hair on this motherfucker. We be on this bitch for all night. I could take that turn into a 3-4 hour conversation. Talk about your two fingers. You know what I'm saying? Illustrate the absolute law. I'll just do a little bit now to give everybody for those just kind of like everybody kind of just chilling. Dude, let me show you how the absolute law look in physicality as it relates to the human body. There's not one hair that looks like another hair on the head. One hair has more water in it than the other. One hair has more keratin in it than the other. One hair is taller than the other. One hair is actually thinner than the other. One hair is older than the other. One hair is you her bitch been forever. See, that's how creation. That's the construct of creation. That's how it's actually made and destroyed through that modality. See, one finger is always longer, even though you don't two, even on one your ring finger on the left hand, it's never the same length as the ring finger on the right hand. It's the same, it's different widths, slight, even though however it's very slight, but still it's not the exact same width or length. See, one finger has more water in it, one finger has more, the bone is slightly bigger in one of the fingers than the other one, right? The skin is slightly thicker than the finger than the other. The fingerprint is different from the other. I mean, we need more. The fingernail is a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker, a little bit white, different color. See, and for those who try to figure that out, got some news for you. You will lose your head will split in half. If you think you got all the answers to that, see, you think you're going to try to convince and argue some people down on this call to try to convince them to understand where you're coming from? That's like one who's you want for one. If you have any kind of righteous authenticity in your body to try to get a help to this to learn a little something while you down here, you would never get there. You will burn yourself out spiritually and mentally and become insane. Probably run the risk of it, or at least neurotic, as judgment would require. You stand in violation. See, the information is not yours alone. Absolutely. You just got it for a few minutes, and you're gonna lose that in a few minutes after you pass on, right? See, you know what I'm saying? So you never can undo, moreover, the law of polarity. To do so, one would be to argue with people on here incandescently like that. You're trying to undo the law of polarity. You could never undo that. You'll go insane trying to undo the law of polarity. You always gonna have motherfuckers on different pages. And I'll just stop there.
Why you stop?